Well, and when it rains, it's great to be inside. And the Seahawks are inside today, taking on the Chiefs. They'll feature Kurt Warner, who is the leading rusher in the AFC, and he has 9 touchdowns. Dave Craig is taken over at quarterback from Jim Zorn. His favorite receiver, Zorn's favorite receiver, number 80, Steve Largent, who's headed for a 1,000-yard year. Kansas City's Bill Kenny has filled the air with footballs this year, has thrown more than anybody else in the NFL, sometimes to the wrong man, like last Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. It was not one of Kenny's better days. But on this play it was, as he finds the streaking number 88, Carlos Carson, for this touchdown run against the Cowboys. Today it's the Chiefs and the Seahawks from the Kingdome in Seattle. Both teams still hoping for a possible playoff spot. Seattle in a little better position than Kansas City. Welcome to the Kingdome, and today's game is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Tough Dodge Truck. Dodge, America's Revolution. By the investment firm of Dean Witter, we're worth asking about. And by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. At the Kingdome, it's 70 degrees. Inside, outside is raining. So that means it's very nice and comfortable inside today, and 60-odd thousand will be on hand to watch the Seahawks and the Chiefs. Hello again, everybody. I'm Merle Harmon along with Jim Turner. My, what a 180-degree turn for Kansas City as far as offense is concerned.
Well, Merle, you credit the new coach, John Mackovic. He said right away that they were going to be aggressive in the passing game, and that's exactly what they are. It's pass, pass, pass.
To do that, you got to have a quarterback with a very strong arm and a lot of good wide receivers.
Well, they have the good wide receivers, and there's no favorite wide receiver. They will throw the ball. A nice play by Todd Blackledge into Henry Marshall, the veteran of the wide receiving crew. He keeps everything honest. A beautiful pass now into Carlos Carson on an all-pro year. They just throw the ball to anybody out there with their own colored jersey on. And the youngster, Stephon Page, against the Cowboys. They're just throwing it everywhere, filling the airwaves, and having a lot of fun.
All right, Jim, we're ready to play football. John Mackovic, in his first year as a head coach in the NFL, has really created some excitement for Kansas City fans and some anxiety for other NFL coaches. Seattle will be kicking off. Kansas City has won the toss. Back deep for the Kansas City Chiefs, Anthony Hancock, and Norm Johnson usually puts him in the end zone here inside. Johnson, a second-year man out of UCLA. And he bangs one well back into the end zone, and Hancock will down. It'll be the Chiefs' ball at the Kansas City 20-yard line. So the Chiefs who have hoped for a playoff spot by maybe a thread. On the other hand, the Seattle Seahawks feel if they can win their next 4 ball games, that'll be a tough assignment. They might make it. Kansas City's Bill Kenny will lead Theodis Brown, the former Seahawk, and Billy Jackson in the backfield. His wideouts, Carlos Carson, we have talked about this crew. Ed Beckman, look out for him, the tight end. He will move in and out with Willie Scott. And the offensive line, well, it's kind of patched up, but Tom Condon is back, and Dave Lukes, the rookie, plays right alongside him. Bill Kenny on his first play of the day. Goes to the run to Theodis Brown. And the ex-Seahawk gets out across the 25 to about the 28-yard line, almost the 29. Sheldon Robinson, number 57, the left inside linebacker of the Seahawks, makes the defensive play. They will mark the ball on the 28. That defensive line, watch Jacob Green. He could have an outstanding day for Seattle. The linebacking core, well, Michael Jackson is back, and that's happy news for the Seahawks. He has been out with an injury. He has missed 5 weeks. The defensive backs, Kerry Justin, is still here, although he has signed with the USFL. And Kenny Easley, the 3-year veteran, is the strong safety with 5 interceptions. Second down, 2 for Kansas City. The draw. Brown. Theodis, 2 big runs here out to the 39-yard line. And that one is good for 11. John Harris, the free safety, number 44, the 6-year veteran from Arizona State, making the hit. Theodis Brown was signed by Kansas City in September after being released by Seattle. He was the number 2 draft choice of the St. Louis Cardinals in 1979. Came to Seattle in 81, played in 9 games last year. Everybody says, how in the world could Seattle release him, Jim Turner?
Well, there must be some problems somewhere, Merle. I like the way they've opened it up with 2 straight running plays.
Kansas City, they say, is pass-happy this year. Ken Thomas is in for Theodis Brown as the tailback. This is Thomas. Thomas threatening to throw, now running, getting a block. Ken Thomas down the sideline is out of bounds. on the 33-yard line of the Seahawks, chased out by Bruce Schultz, the left outside linebacker out of the University of Texas, as Ken Thomas goes 33 yards on his first call of the day.
And Merle, John Makovic loves trick plays. What's the tight end? He's stringing it out. Thomas, he's all set to throw it. Henry Marshall's covered. Good pursuit, but takes it back the opposite way. Hey, he gets a block from the quarterback. You're not supposed to do that. Makes a nice play, but the key to it, John Makovic likes the trick plays.
You know what Ken Thomas's rushing record was going into this game? 9 yards. He picked up 33 on that one. He's a rookie out of San Jose State. Bill Kenny, the 5-year veteran from northern Colorado. The lone tailback, Theodis Brown. Kenny, wide open. Henry Marshall. Marshall breaking the tackle. Marshall a first down at the 22. A gain of 11. He is brought down by Kerry Justin, the left quarterback.
Well, the fans here are a little antsy. They saw the Seahawks give the game away last week to the Denver Broncos. Kenny dropping back. They know that the Seahawks sit back in a plain zone, coming under to the veteran, number 89, Henry Marshall, who said they want to isolate Kenny easily today, and if they do, Marshall says the wide receivers will be open all day.
Henry Marshall, the 8-year veteran from Missouri, 45th reception of the year. He had 706 yards going into this game. He's averaged 16 yards per catch. First down, Kansas City. Beckman sets right as the tight end. Little misdirection with Thomas. Thomas tapped from behind. Yanked down by Joe Nash, 72, and Michael Jackson, the linebacker, is returned to action. Jackson, the 5-year veteran from the University of Washington, and he can really lead a charge. And the net on that one, a -5.
Trying to misdirection, but number 55, Michael Jackson, as you said, it's the first time he's been activated for a while. What a fine defensive play.
Second down, 15 on the 27 of Seattle. Joe Nash, the nose tackle, anchors the 3-man front. Michael Jackson activated today after an absence of 5 weeks. He's the leader of this defensive unit. Second down. Defense is in. Nichols back now for Seattle on a passing situation. Kenny incomplete, intended for Beckman, the tight end. It'll be third down and 15. Keith Simpson, number 42, the left cornerback, who's been out the last 2 weeks. Veteran from Memphis State on the coverage. 3 interceptions this year for number 42. Third and 15 for Kansas City. We're in the first quarter in the Kingdome. 11 minutes, 34 seconds to go in the first period. Beckman and Scott come out now as tight end.
And Kansas City with their fleet 4 wide receivers in the game, and they'll try to spread the field wide out, open it up so someone will be open in the lane.
Marshall splits out wide to the left. Carlos Carson to the right. They go into the shotgun for the first time today. Bill Kenny, a 12th round draft choice by Miami in 1978. Theodis Brown and Carson is inside the 10, down to like the 9-yard line. Gregory Johnson stops him after a 17-yard pickup, and you talk about open offense.
Talk about opening up. Everybody, including myself, waiting for the pass. The second trick play in this first series for the Chiefs. Nice handoff, wide open field, some excellent blocking, taking it down for the first down. It's first and goal.
So a reverse coming off an inside handoff. Bill Kenny, who is 6'4" and 211 pounds, knows how to block.
Somebody's got to teach him, the quarterback, don't block all the time.
That's an old quarterback talking.
There you go.
The guy with the high tops who did his throw football good as a kicker, but was a quarterback in college. First and goal. Ken Thomas hit behind the line by Keith Simpson, the left quarterback, who was coming. And Easley, number 45, who was coming right alongside him. Kenny Easley, the 3rd-year veteran from UCLA.
Carl, that's one of the reasons the young man is an all-pro. First defensive player for the Seahawks to make all-pro. Comes in, he reads it instantly, makes the hit for a loss. No yardage gain there. Kenny Easley really is one of the finest in the entire NFL.
Second and goal on the 11 of Seattle. Marshall splits to the right. Coming out wide to the left side is Stephon Page, number 83. Touchdown. Number 15 this year for Bill Kenny, for Marshall, number 6. 11-yard touchdown pass.
Merle, and they opened up the lane by making the running back, Ken Thomas, take a linebacker out to the sidelines, and it opens up wide over the middle for the veteran wide receiver, who, by the way, is not afraid to go across the middle into the corner and safety area. Henry Marshall takes it in for an 11-yard touchdown. That's a fine drive.
10 minutes, 39 seconds to go in the first quarter in Seattle. Nick Lowry, one of the best kickers in pro football. A big guy, by the way. He's 6'4".
Well, his height is what makes him such a fine field goal kicker. Like the golf shaft, a nice easy swing and right through the upright.
Then he puts her down, and Lowry answers with his 82nd point of the year. So Kansas City is on the scoreboard first on an 80-yard drive, with Kenny throwing to Marshall for the last 11, and it's Kansas City 7-0. Opening kickoff, touchback, bringing the ball to the 20, 80 yards. On the drive in 9 plays, they used 4 minutes and 16 seconds. So Kansas City opened with a run and ended with a pass. Put together. Nick Lowry kicking it off. Lowry is going to be short on this one, and it is taken short by Tice, and he is out across the 30 to about the 34-yard line. Albert Lewis makes the tackle on a 17-yard return. On that short kick, Seattle gets pretty good field position at their own 33. Dave Craig has replaced Dorn as the starting quarterback. Dorn has not taken a snap since Craig took over. Kurt Warner, the man to look for, the AFC's leading rusher with 9 touchdowns. You talk about fine receivers. The Seahawks have been using Charlie Young, the tight end, more, the veteran this year, but Largent's one of the best. The offensive line, Reggie McKenzie. What else do we need to say about leadership up there? First down, Seattle on the Seahawks, 33. Craig goes to the run to Cullen Bryant, the fullback. Bryant brought down by Ken Kramer, the nose tackle. Cullen making his first start since the opening game against Kansas City. The defensive line, Art Still is back. John Makovic and the Chiefs love that. Mangiero has taken over as the nose tackle. Mike Bell, one of the best. The linebackers, you talk about guys coming back that really mean something. Gary Spaney, who missed so many games, is the leader there. And the defensive backs, Deron Cherry has done an outstanding job replacing Barbaro. Second down. Craig to Warner. Warner, first down, out of bounds. He is across the 45-yard line for a gain of 11, and Lucius Smith, the quarterback, number 23, finally chases Warner out of bounds. Warner with 1,042 yards coming into this game adds some more.
Earl, and he opens up an offense so much just by his ability. So strong, people underestimate his strength and his speed. He's going to make the linebackers of the Chiefs today stay in the line of scrimmage, that one extra count today, and it should open up the passing game for the Seahawks.
Art Still has come to the sideline. David Lindstrom has replaced him for Kansas City at the defensive left end spot. Still has been hurt much of the season, at least daily. Can't hold it, out of bounds. Paul Johns covered by Lucius Smith, number 23. So Dave Craig upstairs for the first time today has completed 63% of his passes for 1,222 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions.
Trying to work on the safety of the Kansas City Chiefs, the same type of pattern that young Gary Kubiak threw for a touchdown last week to Steve Watson for the Broncos against the Seattle Seahawks. That first pass, trying to open it up and make the Kansas City Chiefs spread the field.
Second down, 10. Kansas City puts 5 defensive backs on. Craig to the run. Warner to midfield. Gary Spaney, number 59, the veteran out of Kansas State. Best linebacker of the corps, leads the charge against the rush. Gain of 5 by Kurt Warner. The Seahawks, as you mentioned, Jim, earlier today, paid a dear price for him, but he was well worth it.
Oh, he's been more than they expected. The finest football player maybe in the AFC this year.
Here comes a designated third down back, Dan Dornick, into the game, number 33. On 22 third down situations this year, Dornick has picked it up 16 times by receiving or running. Out of the shotgun, the deep pass going to Paul Johns, and Lucius Smith had the coverage at the 15-yard line, breaking it up. And And the punting unit comes on for Seattle.
And did he have the coverage? Ran man for man with the receiver the entire distance. Watch it. It hits him in the back. Watch that coverage. That's as good as it can come. Oh, my goodness. I'm not sure on a replay. I think he might be what we call a drop ball.
4th down and 5 for Seattle. The punting unit features Jeff West, the 8-year veteran out of Cincinnati. Blair Bush, who is out of action today. Connie Kawhi is playing except when Bush comes in to snap.
And let's be aware that the Seahawks are the #1 punt coverage team in the league at this moment.
West with a 40-yard average. And the reception is taken by Hancock on a fair catch, a 42-yard kick, and no return. And it's tough to return against Jeff West. We have timeout with the Chiefs leading Jeff West, one of the best net punters in the NFL.
Well, their special teams coach, one of the former great special teams players in football, Rusty Selman, a short punt. But look at this. Look at what he does for his defense inside the 10-yard line. I think a mistake by Anthony Hancock for fair catching that ball. There he is, one of the fine special teams players for the Redskins when he was playing.
Kansas City's ball on the Chiefs' 8-yard line. Bill Kenny at the helm. Thomas, his lone running back. It appeared that Dave Luce, the rookie out of Georgia Tech, the right tackle, moved. Red caution indicates illegal procedure against Kansas City. David Luce replaced Charlie Getty. That tells you how much John Mackovic thinks of that rookie. Not that one. He's been around a while.
Well, yeah, that happens. But this happens in a game going up against a tremendous defensive player like Jacob Green, number 79.
Too soon. Number 72 on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
Merle, we have 2 defensive ends on the field today that could very possibly be in the Pro Bowl. Jacob Green of the Seahawks having a heck of a year, number 79, and Mike Bell of the Kansas City Chiefs.
And Art Still is out of action for the rest of the game.
Out of action for the game.
He re-injured his knee. He was in a couple of plays last week against Dallas. He originally hurt it against Cincinnati. 1st and 15 on a half the distance penalty. Defense led by Sheldon Robinson, number 57, the linebacker, who leads the team in tackles with 70-70s out of North Carolina. Jacob Green and Jeff Bryant helping out. Here's the final score. The Cleveland Browns beat the Baltimore Colts by 41-23. Brian Sipe having a big day. And the Jets with 4 field goals by Pat Leahy defeated New England 26-3. New Orleans won better on a field goal by Eddie Ricardo, 17-16. Chicago beat San Francisco. 2nd down, 14. Otis Brown, the ex-Seahawks, being nailed by Joe Nash, number 72, the nose tackle out of Boston College. But it's 3rd down as Brown punches the ball out to about the 8-yard line. 3rd down and 10 coming up. And Seattle will change its defense. It looks like they're bringing about 12 defensive backs on the field. Washington beating Philadelphia by 4. And Tampa Bay, 2 in a row now for Tampa Bay, beating Houston. They were both winless until last week. 3rd down. Showing the blitz. Kenny right up the seam, and it was almost completed on the 35-yard line to Anthony Hancock, and the ball was shaken loose by Kerry Justin, number 26, the veteran out of Oregon State.
How we see it from the quarterback's angle. Perfectly thrown ball right into the hands of Hancock. Good coverage, but that's a drop ball. You can't ask for a finer pass than that. But Merle, you see what the nice punt of Jeff West did for the Seahawks. Watch this ball right into the hands. Boy, that should have caught the ball. You can't throw it better than that.
It is 4th down and 10, and the punting unit is on for Seattle. Or rather for Kansas City. Jim Arnold will kick. Paul Johns is back deep. Jim Arnold, the rookie out of Vanderbilt. And this is Paul Johns for the return. He bangs a line drive. Ball bounces away from Johns and getting a Kansas City roll. That ball almost hit him. It is finally going to roll dead inside the 35. Kansas City getting every inch that it possibly can. The kick, 58 yards and no return.
Well, but
he
made the right move on that, Merle, by not running up and making the mistake. That's a very smart play by Paul Johns. Cost him a few yards. We'll be right back.
See, the Chiefs have been very difficult for Seattle. And the Chiefs have won the last 4. So it's 1st and 10 for the Seahawks. Dave Craig out of Milton College, Milton, Wisconsin, is the quarterback. Cullen Bryant, the former Los Angeles Ram for a couple. Jerry Blandon, the inside linebacker out of Kentucky, making the hit on Bryant. Bryant played for Chuck Knox for the Rams. And one of the things that Chuck Knox did, he brought in some key veterans, Jim, to stabilize the Seattle Seahawks ball club.
Well, they made the big move, trading for Blair Bush, their center, Reggie McKenzie, the guard, Charlie Young, and Harold Jackson. What that does is gives them experience and coaches on the field.
2nd down, 8 after a gain of 2. Tony Kawhi, the center today, for the ailing Blair Bush. Kurt Warner breaking tackle, has the 1st down near the 44-yard line. Deron Cherry, the free safety, stopping him after a 6-yard pickup. Warner, by the way, is tied for the #1 spot in scoring touchdown with Joe Cribbs of Buffalo and Chuck Muncie of San Diego.
And we're going to see why this young man is so great. Watch the move right there on Jerry Blanton, right out of the grasp, an extra 6 yards. That's why this young man is worth everything they gave up this year to get him in the draft.
And again, what did they give for him?
Of #1, a #2, and a #3.
Young and Tice are now the tight ends for the Seahawks on 3rd down and very short. Blanton is out. Kramer is in. Kansas City beats up the line. Let's see if they can make it. Flags go down. Brown has the 1st down as the play stands, going out to the 49-yard line for a gain of 5. Thomas Howard, the outside linebacker out of Texas Tech, yanks him down, but we have holding against Seattle. So the Seahawks, who have hopes for a playoff spot, they've got a tough game next week. The Cowboys come to town.
Merrill, take a look at this second effort. They're in stack with 8 off defensive linemen in there and still make 6 or 7 yards. Kurt Warner got up rather gingerly on his ankle. He's walking back a little
Play
slow.
number 67 of the offense. Still 3rd down.
Reggie McKenzie holding. Come on, Reggie. You've been around for 12 years.
I think we're going to see the strength of both teams coming out with Warner carrying the ball all day, and then when Kinney comes in with the Chiefs, they're going to be able to pull the ball up and down the field.
You just had a look at number 67 in the huddle a moment ago. Reggie McKenzie out of Michigan, 12 years, came to Seattle in a trade with Buffalo. If you're going to run the football, you're going to have a guy like Reggie McKenzie as your leader. Largent in motion. On 3rd and 10 out of the shotgun is Craig. Right back over the middle, completes it. Number 89, Brian Walker, and Gary Green finally gets him down, but not until Walker goes 13 yards for a 1st down. Byron Walker out of the Citadel. Look at that average on receptions, better than 22.
And a terrific play by the quarterback, Dave Craig. Number 99, Mike Bell, right on his back coming in, leads the ball perfectly over the middle to Walker for a beautiful reception. Craig made that play happen.
1st down, Seahawks. They trail 7-0. Merle Harmon and Jim Turner with you in Seattle. Bryant, the fullback in the eye. Craig. Largent at the 48 of Kansas City, and Gary Green bumps him out of bounds. Steve Largent headed for his 5th 1,000-yard season. He had 4 in a row, shortened last year with a strike.
He's as good as anybody in the league. This is his 88th game that he's caught 1 pass or more, and I don't think the man gets enough credit for his talents. He can run any pattern he wants. Watch the nice move. The drive to the sideline, a good throw by the quarterback, makes a nice reception.
Gain of 7, 2nd down, 3 for Seattle. 5:26 to go in the 1st quarter. Warner to the 45 of the Chiefs. Thomas Howard and Dave Lindstrom stop him for Kansas City, and that will be close enough to look at it. Red Cashin says any part of the ball will do it. They're going to bring the sticks in. Kansas City scored on its first possession, marching 80 yards on 9 plays, the last 11 being covered on a Bill Kenny pass to Henry Marshall. Bill Kenny has thrown more times this year than anybody else. He may catch Dan Fauci.
He probably will on the pace that he's on. While we're waiting for him to measure it, it's no surprise to me the success that Chuck Knox has brought to this fine organization up here in Seattle. He is so solid, never makes the mistake, just a couple inches short of the first down, but did make a mistake last week in the Broncos. Had a penalty thrown on him, and I played with Chuck, or played for him when he was coach of the New York Jets. The one thing about Chuck, never does he hurt his football team. When you talk about Landry and Grant and the great coaches, Chuck Knox's name has got to be there.
Third down, about 3 inches. Let's see if Gary Spaney gets a piece of this. He was right up there, but Cullen Bryant, with his 236 pounds, takes it for a first down to the Kansas City 42-yard line.
And old Cullen lives out in Colorado pretty close to where I am, lifting weights every day. I wouldn't want to hit him head on either.
Well, he can lift some snow if he goes home tomorrow.
Yeah,
so can you.
It's socked in. I won't get back to Colorado tonight. It is buried with snow.
Come on, Stewie!
Cullen Bryant. John Mackovic was a head coach at Wake Forest. He was the quarterback coach and called the plays for the Cowboys for 2 years, then came to Kansas City. Here comes the blitz. Picked up by the Seahawks. And incomplete to Paul Johns. Oh, I think Paul thinks that he should have had that one, and I think he should have too.
Absolutely. We're seeing some drop balls today, perfectly thrown footballs by the quarterback. You don't realize that David Craig has such a strong arm. Watching Johns down on the pattern, simples down and in, right in the hands and right out of the hands.
So Kenny really threaded the needle, as you'll see again, or rather,
watch how he steps into that ball, perfectly tight spiral, right into it, and drop ball. We've seen more already in the first quarter than most coaches want to see the whole game.
The ball at the 42, 2nd and 10. Dave Craig. Warner busts it to the outside. First down, Seattle. At the 30-yard line. Chased out by Albert Lewis. But Warner gets 12 in the first down.
And Merle, right when you think they're going to come back and go for the pass, this is the value of a Kurt Warner. They take it back in the eye back. He runs it around the corner for a first down. Randy Gradishar, the all-pro linebacker with the Denver Broncos, told me last week that he makes you play the game so honest that his running ability opens up the entire passing game.
Byron Walker has come in now for Paul Johns after that reception. Dave Lindstrom is out. Art Still is back. We were told that he would not be back today, but Still is back on the field again. Number 67, the All-America out of Kentucky and All-Pro. Bryant gets whatever he can, and what he can is about 2 yards before Dino Mangiero, number 74, a free agent signee in 1980, who has played very well. In fact, he's won the starting job as the nose tackle. There he is, Dino, out of Rutgers. 2nd down coming up for Seattle. Mackovic, let's see. He's got birthday number 41 coming up, so at 40, he's one of the youngest coaches in the NFL.
And would he like to have a running back of Kurt Warner's abilities?
2nd down. Warner, touchdown. 28 yards.
boy, he shows you the special little wiggle. Right now, there it is. Good coverage, and he just takes off for 6, his 11th touchdown. Well, you can't say enough about Kurt Warner and what he's meant to this organization.
6 carries, 64 yards for Warner. Norm Johnson, Jim Zorn to hold. It's a tie in the Kingdom with 3 minutes, 23 seconds left to play in the first quarter. We'll start all over again with the game locked up at 7 as Seattle comes on with an impressive drive. And it was finished on this run by Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner with his 10th rushing touchdown. He takes over the AFC in rushing touchdowns now. Joe Cribbs, who had been number 1 of Buffalo, and Chuck Muncie of San Diego. So he is now the pace setter. Norm Johnson to kick off for Seattle. Anthony Hancock in the middle for Kansas City. He'll have a return on this one from the 4. Hancock to the 26. Joe Norman, a linebacker, yanks him down after a 22-yard return, so the Chiefs take over. Bill Kenny, who brings the offense onto the field, has averaged exactly 38 passes a game this season. And John Mackovic, when he took over the Chiefs, he had a meeting with the team. He said, we're going to throw the ball at least 40 times a game. And he believes the pass is the key in pro football.
Well, he calls it aggressive passing. He wants to throw it all the time.
So Bill Kenny, 1st and 10 for the Chiefs, score tied at 7. Swings it to Thomas, coming out of the backfield. 10 is out across the 40 to the 41-yard line for a 15-yard pickup, and Keith Butler, the right inside linebacker out of Memphis State, number 53, gets him down from behind, and Butler is limping a little bit as he gets up. First down for the Chiefs. They have really mixed the pass and run well today.
Well, they have today because they do not have a featured running back. They're trying to get Theodis Brown in there a little more and more. But if they were able to have a Kurt Warner, let's say, there's no telling what the Chiefs could do.
First down on the Kansas City 41. 2:35 to go in the first quarter in Seattle. Theodis Brown. Brown is brought down at about the 45-yard line, getting almost 5 yards on the play, not quite. Kenny Easley, the strong safety, up to make the tackle. Old Turf Toe from UCLA. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Seattle Seahawks and the National Football League is prohibited, and we have an injured Seahawk. Art Still is back for Kansas City, and that's good news for Kansas City fans. Here's the battle we talked about earlier.
There's the battle all day long. The young rookie against Jacob Green, and that's a fine play by the rookie. Stringing Green out so that the running back could go ahead and make his yardage.
Kansas City got 2 pretty good football players out of Georgia Tech in the draft. Lutz is one. Ellis Gardner, number 75, who plays the guard and tackle, is the other.
I know, the old teammates. And Merle, the joke around Kansas City, they go to the show together, they go shopping together, they live together. The guys frickin' frack. They have so much fun with each other.
Well, Keith Butler, on, 2 plays ago, was shaken up and was limping slightly, and it kind of looks like he got his bell rung on that one.
Merle, I want to tell you what Bill Kenny, the quarterback of the Chiefs, told me before the game. He was warming up on the sideline. He said, I expect to have a big passing day against the Seattle Seahawks, so we'll just see how it turns out.
Sam Merriman, a rookie from Idaho, number 51, has replaced Butler as the right inside linebacker for the Seahawks. Kansas City with a 2nd and 6 and 2:05 to go in the first quarter in a tie game. Kenny looks right, throws left. There's Carson. Carlos runs out of bounds. After he picked up a first down, Harris chased him out. He got 18 yards on the play. Carson could go over the 1,000-yard mark today. 9:04 coming into this.
And it's the perfect read. He looks over to Henry Marshall to the right. He's double covered, comes back to single coverage to the youngster Carlos Carson. Good play by the quarterback.
No, Bill Kinney is a very interesting story. Started out at Arizona State for Frank Kush, transferred to junior college.
And there's the young man I think should be in the Pro Bowl this year. He's just having an outstanding season.
Kenny then went to Northern Colorado. Here comes the blitz. Kenny gets nailed as he throws it away. Ken Thomas coming out of the backfield. And number 57, Sheldon Robinson, the left inside linebacker, blitzing. He was coming, along with number 58, Bruce Schultz, the outside linebackers. And Kenny really took a pop, but he's up and at it. We talked about Bill Kinney coming out of Northern Colorado. He actually played tight end at Northern Colorado when he first went to school there.
Well, they had some pretty good quarterbacks there at the time. You know, the Seattle Seahawks defense understands they're going to throw the ball, but they're also going to make sure that quarterback pays for throwing the ball against him. That's a nice hit.
Second down 10 on the Seattle 37. Again, the blitz from the outside, but he completes the pass to Henry Marshall. Terry Justin chasing Marshall out of bounds. Let's see where they mark the ball. Right at the stick. They don't have to bring the sticks in to measure this one. First down, Kansas City.
And now I'd like you to free when you buy your first book. Yeah, you can do it easy.
And Robinson, the inside linebacker.
And he read the one-on-one coverage, the man coverage. Terry. He can run this one all the way up and down the field. If Kenny wants to stick with Marshall, he can do it all day.
Kenny is 5 out of 8, 65 yards. Kenny's a big guy. No wonder he could play tight end at 6'4", 211. Kenny is sacked at the 34 by Bruce Schultz. Seattle continuing to come, putting the pressure on. This time they get it.
Well, Merle, this is what happens. Your offensive line, like the Kansas City Chiefs, is all patched up. Brad Buddy's out with injured reserve. The quarterback has to take this opportunity, and you'll see the result. A tremendous rush. He gets sacked. The Kansas City Chiefs, in all defense of them, their offensive line has been patchwork for a long time.
Now there are 5 defensive backs on for Seattle on a second down and 17 on the 34-yard line with a minute 18 seconds to go in the first quarter in a game that's tied at 7. Shotgun. Kenny gets hit as he lets her go, and incomplete. Stephon Page, number 83, the intended receiver. Now let's go to NFL 83 for an update.
Thank you, Merle Harmon. In San Diego, what a difference that Dan Fouts makes. He's already thrown 2 touchdown passes to Kellen Winslow. San Diego's on top of Denver, 14-7 early second quarter. Now let's go back to Merle Harmon and Jim Turner.
Well, Lynn, the San Diego Chargers have to really be in heaven today with Fouts back.
Well, Merle, you know, I live out in Denver and talk to the Broncos on a daily basis, and they were worried at just the rumor that Fouts might play. There's one of the finest coaches around, and the penalty certainly has helped the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, Chuck Knox.
First down, 29-yard line. There's another Chuck Knox in the picture here in Seattle.
Boy, there sure is.
Ken Thomas, the rookie from San Jose State, bangs his way to the 24 for a gain of 6. Sheldon Robinson, the inside linebacker out of North Carolina, stopping the play. Ken Thomas, his brother, Jarrell Thomas, is one of the tailbacks for Kansas City. Sheldon Robinson really played with some good ones at North Carolina. He's in his second year with the Seahawks. Second down 4 for Kansas City. 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Otis Brown gets the first down just inside the marker.
Put the time on that clock.
Merriman, the linebacker who replaced Keith Butler, makes the tackle, and the clock running at 10 seconds to go in the first quarter. Otis Brown I like this guy.
Well, I don't understand why he's been bounced around so much. You never hear anything bad about him, but evidently he can't get along with the coaches. I like him very much as a football player.
First quarter comes to an end, and here at the Kingdom in Seattle, we're all tied up at 7. Second quarter coming up. Merle Harmon and Jim Turner with you in Seattle, where it's nice to be indoors today because it's about 46 or 7 degrees outside and is raining. And as we go into the second quarter, you see that Kansas City dominated the clock in the first period, 9 minutes and 33 seconds of possession. And also, well, not domination, but leads in total yardage.
Well, I think they've surprised the Seahawks by coming out and rushing so effectively when their game is actually the pass.
Keith Butler has returned to action for Seattle. Kansas City opened the scoring on an 80-yard drive in their first possession. 9 plays it took. An 11-yard touchdown pass from Kenny to Marshall did it. And then Kurt Warner ran 28 yards to cap a long drive for Seattle to tie it up.
Got a little bit of a delay on the field, Merle, because the referee's having the microphone fixed so that he can communicate with everybody in the stadium and on television, too.
Thank goodness we don't have a bird on the field like we had in Baltimore. Well, Keith Butler says he's feeling okay now, number 53, so he's back in action.
Merle, I have to think that the Seahawks are a player, maybe 2 players away from being so effectively important in a playoff drive. They are really ready to go. There's a good look at Red Cashin being rewired on that so that we can hear what goes on with penalties and such.
Don't sit down, Red. It might be a hot wire. Next Sunday, join host Lynn Berman as NFL 83 kicks off week number 14 with feature reports and a preview of the day's games. It's an NFL doubleheader. Beginning at 12:30 Eastern, we'll have an AFC Central matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers. Other games include Miami at Houston and Buffalo at Kansas City. Plus at 3:30 p.m., most of you will see the Browns against the Denver Broncos, or in some areas, you'll see the Jets against the Colts. Check your local listings for the games and the times in your area.
Everywhere Chuck Knox has been a head coach, he's had the feature running back with L.A. and with Buffalo, and now with Kurt Warner here in Seattle. But what I like is the utilization, and we've talked about it, the drafting and bringing in. There's a good close look at Chuck. Like I say, I think he's just one of the great coaches, but brings in the veterans, especially to this young team, and McKenzie and Blair Bush. And what he does is he utilizes their experience, their expertise, especially when you get in the hole with these youngsters and you're losing. It's those guys like Reggie McKenzie, who was up with him in Buffalo, the leader of the electric company for O.J. Simpson. And he utilizes them as coaches, and boy, I'll tell you, he's going to turn it totally around.
Jim Zorn, number 10. You know, it's got to be tough for Jim Zorn to do what he has done here for the Seahawks, and yet Dave Craig said in the first start that Zorn was with him on the sideline. Every time he'd come to the sideline, Zorn was right there with him, giving him encouragement, talking to him. Jim Zorn, number 10. First and 10 as we go back to play here. Kansas City on the 19-yard line of Seattle. Kenny incomplete, intended for Willie Scott, number 81, the tight end. Bruce Schultz, number 58, the linebacker, had the coverage. Schultz at 6'6" and 240. Scott 6'4", 245.
Kenny trying to force that ball in, but a perfect play by Schultz, the linebacker, number 58. And sometimes this is what's wrong. You get the big, strong quarterback. Young John Elway's having the same problem with the Broncos, thinking he can rifle that ball in under all coverages. And a mistake there by Kenny, it could have been costly, could have been intercepted.
So the Chiefs a second down to the 19-yard line of Seattle. Score tied. Second quarter. Ken Thomas, and great reaction by Bruce Schultz, the linebacker, and Jacob Green, number 79, the defensive left end for the Seahawks. So not too much on that one. Maybe a yard or so. Third down. Here comes about 15 defensive backs for Seattle. I'm thinking what the quarterback is thinking. Where are all those guys coming from anyway?
And there's the average, the number 2 passing game in the NFL, but the worst rushing game in the NFL. Only 71 yards a game in the NFL.
Of course, John Malkovich says that'll come later. Third down. The rush is on. Getting to the end zone. Great catch by Stephon Page. And the Chiefs go back in front on a 17-yard touchdown pass.
Exactly the same pattern that Stephon caught last week against the Dallas Cowboys for a touchdown. perfectly thrown ball out of shotgun. You see exactly now. Good look at the quarterback right down the middle, but Stephon had to jump up pretty high to catch it. Exactly the pattern that was successful last week against the Cowboys. Another look at young Stephon. They think he is the receiver of the future, not only for the Chiefs, but in the NFL. Watch this. Goes high up in the air, knows that the possibility is there for him to get clipped right in the ribs, pulls it down for 6. That's a nice play.
Nick Lowry, who has scored 82 points by the kick with Kenny to hold. Kansas City goes up by 7 with 14 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the first half. Nick Lowry out of Dartmouth, and Kansas City will now kick the ball away to Seattle, and we'll see what the Seahawks can do when we come back. Stephon Page, and as Jim Turner said, you're going to be hearing a lot about him as time goes on. 74-yard drive by Kansas City. Took 4 minutes and 4 seconds, and the Chiefs on top by 7, and Lowry will kick off. You know, Lowry may have the strongest leg field goal-wise in pro football, but very seldom does he kick the ball out of the end zone or into the end zone.
Well, I think it's an easy reason for that, too, Merle. He is such a good field goal kicker that he concentrates on the field goals and not the kickoff.
David Hughes on the return to the 32. Lawrence Ricks out of the University of Michigan brings him down after a 23-yard return.
Merle, you can't say enough about the job the special teams coach for the Seahawks has done for the past couple of years. Rusty Tillman, once one of the greatest in the game when he was with the Redskins, as we've said. There's a good look at him. Talked to him before the game. I mean, he is excited. He tells his guys, you go down, you put the helmet on him, drop the ball, and we'll win the game for the offense and defense.
Put on the high-top shoes, play it the old-fashioned.
He loves it.
First down on the 32. That'll give you an idea of what Seattle's special teams have done.
That's right.
First down. Craig to the run. Warner to the carry. Out of bounds on the Kansas City 44. Kurt Warner, one of the most exciting running backs to come into the NFL. And boy, you talk about going back to the Jimmy Browns and way, way back if you want. 25 yards on that pickup.
Well, but the whole idea of putting a running back like him in the deep I-back position is so that he can read everything in front of him. Takes off to the right, and the ability to cut back and do... Watch what happens. It's good blocking. It's going up to the right. He sees it all. He's just not running, folks. Those eyes are open. Then the abilities take over. That's a perfect example of why you have guys like Kurt Warner in the NFL. He's a fantastic football player.
From the 44 of Kansas City, the Chiefs are leading by 7. Craig to Bryant. Bryant just simply puts his head down to the old pro, blasting into the Kansas City defense, and Jerry Blanton said, come on, Cullen. For crying out loud, you're too old to be doing things like that. Bryant said, yeah, that's 6 yards.
Several years ago, I kicked off to Cullen. When Cullen was playing for the Rams, Chuck Knock was the coach. He ran it back 96 yards for a touchdown on a kickoff return. He also ran over me, all 240 pounds of him.
Second down 4 after Bryant gets 6. 13:20 to go in the first half.
And this is why you have to have a wide receiver. Sometimes they don't throw the great block, but they screen their man off. It allows Warner to get an extra 10 yards.
Yeah, Largent was just talking to him. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
Second down. Warner inside the 35 will be close to the first down. He might have it. Jerry Blanton, number 57, makes the tackle. You know, Seattle last week had 8 turnovers in the game against Denver and lost at 38-27. They were a team that, as we said many times, wins the battle, loses the war. Largent said, hey, we just cut our own throats, guys.
They did. They did. It was self-destruct, as one of the writers up in Seattle said. 6 of those turnovers, as we have a good look at the coach, Chuck Knox, 6 of those turnovers led to 30 points for the Broncos, and yet, at the end of the game, the Seahawks still were in it and could have won it.
Third down, very short. Tice comes in along with Charlie Young at tight end. This is a Gary Spaney defensive lookout for Kansas City. Gets down inside the 30 to the 29 for a first down, and Charles Jackson The right outside linebacker, number 51, makes the hit after a 5-yard pickup, and Warner is now 3 yards away from another 100-yard day.
It doesn't surprise me. This is Chuck Knox type of football. Put the helmet on and let's play hardball. I'll tell you some other things about Kurt Warner. People don't realize, especially some players who have never played against him, exactly how strong he is. He looks on the little side. Gradishar and all the linebackers of the Broncos told me he's one of the strongest men in football today.
First down, Seattle inside the Kansas City 30. Kansas City ahead by 7. Cullen Bryant breaks the tackle, gets inside the 25 to the 24. Deron Cherry, number 20, has to come up and try to pull him down, and Bryant pulled him for a couple of yards. So he gets 6, and it's second down 4. And Bryant, in his first start since the opening game, which was against Kansas City, by the way, looking pretty good. Second down 4. Johnny Kawhi for the ailing Blair Bush. Bush had knee surgery on Monday, arthroscopic knee surgery. Kawhi on the snap. They show the blitz. Warner gets met at the line of scrimmage right in the hole by Lloyd Burris. Number 34, the strong safety out of Maryland. He's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. There he is.
Well, sometimes when you play Chuck Knox type of football, the defense can almost pick out exactly what you're going to do. Other teams at that time may have gone for the pass. Kansas City decided they're going to go and defense the run all the way.
Kansas City's going to show some extra help in the backfield, defensive backfield now. Johns and Jackson are in as wideout, along with Lorgent and Walker. John Makovich is going to match it with the nickel defense. Largent in motion. Oh, look at that rush by Kansas City. And Burris coming on a safety blitz. He was all over him. And you saw Dino Mangiero, number 74, the nose tackle, right in there, too.
Well, he had a tremendous rush even when they were in a shotgun position. Boy.
Fourth down, Seattle at the 31 of Kansas City. Norm Johnson is 12 out of 17 in the field goal department. Zorn will hold it for him at the 39.
And remember, in the past years, with Zorn as a holder, they don't necessarily kick all the time.
From this range, Johnson is 5 out of 6. This will be a 49-yard effort. Wide to the left. Kansas City will take over. Norm Johnson hooked that ball, and we've got a timeout with 9:35 to go in the first half. The Chiefs are ahead. The Los Angeles Rams, on a 45-yard touchdown pass by Vince Ferragamo, lead the Buffalo Bills in the second quarter. In San Diego, 2 touchdown passes by Dan Fouts back in action ahead of Denver. And the Raiders lead the Giants. Plunkett, well, what a year he's having. 66% of his passes since taking over for the injured Mark Wilson. On the draw to Brown. Kansas City gets the ball out to the 34-yard line, and Keith Butler, number 53, with help from Jacob Green, there to make the hit. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is WDAF TV4, Kansas City.
Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you in Seattle. Kansas City on top 14-7, 9:07 to go in the first quarter. Bill Kenny is 6 out of 10 for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. Giving him 16 touchdown passes for the year. Ken Thomas, the touchdown. This one is completed to Henry Marshall, the 8-year veteran from Missouri. Gary Justin had the coverage, but it's a first down for the Chiefs on a 9-yard pickup.
And the same pattern we've seen since the first quarter. Justin given just a little too much cushion to number 89, Henry Marshall.
Gary Justin has signed with the New Jersey Generals of the USFL. But Chuck Knox says, hey, he's a quality player.
Well, I understand he called Justin in and said, hey, congratulations. If that's the type of money you and the move you want to make, good for you and good luck.
First down, Kansas City. A short one to Marshall. Henry wanted to run, but before he got the football.
And you don't see that too often with a veteran like Henry Marshall. He is such a good guy. I've been to some racquetball tournaments with Henry. One of the guys always got a smile on his face. Watch what happens. You're right. He wants to run with it before he catches it. Perfectly thrown ball by the quarterback, but he knows he's not hearing footsteps, folks. He wanted to run with it before he caught it.
It looked like when he came back to the huddle that Bill Kenny would say, "Hey, Henry, don't forget to take the ball with you."
You owe me one on that one, yeah.
Second down, 10 on the 44 of Kansas City. That rebuilt line with Bob Simmons at left guard. Tom Condon back in action at right guard. Spalding is playing the left tackle today for Herkenhoff. Draw. Ken Thomas to the 47. It'll be third down, 8.
Didn't get too much, but a pretty good call. A little delayed draw. You're talking about number 73, Bob Simmons. He's done such a good job this year. Played both guard positions and the tackle, coming back in to help him.
Jeff Bryant, going to be a great one. Second-year man from Clemson, assisting on the tackle. Third down, 8. Shotgun, yeah. Look at that left-handed center. Bob Rush snapping it with the left hand. When Kenny's in the T, he snaps it with the right hand. That's picked off, intended for Thomas coming out of the backfield. John Harris said, I almost had my third interception of the year. But a flag was thrown.
And once again, quarterback trying to squeeze that ball in where there's just no room for it. We've got a flag down the way they're looking at, I do believe, at Kansas City. Well, let's take another look at it.
Chuck Knox knows what he wants to do.
Well, what happens, they're so aware of number 79, Jacob Green, and what a year he's having. First mistake, trying to force the ball into where there's absolutely no room. Second mistake, holding against the Kansas City Chiefs. They are very concerned about Jacob Green from the Seahawks.
John Harris, who had a shot at the interception. Ooh. Fourth down. To do the kicking for Kansas City, Jim Arnold. Gomer foul from Vanderbilt. I saw him kick in college. He's a good one. Average 40.6. Bang 16 out of bounds inside the 20. Fair catch call for, and this ball taken to the 15-yard line by Paul Johns. A punt of 38 yards and no return. Hang time, 4.3. That's why Arnold's a good kicker. And we'll return in a moment with the Chiefs leading 14-7. Well, Jim, the game today has been relatively free of errors. That's one thing has to please Chuck Knox after last week's debacle in Denver.
Well, they gave it up 8 times last week. They gave the game away. But it's not unusual for a team to come back and play very solid football after you've really made a lot of mistakes the week before.
And Kansas City has been in every game this year until last week when they got blown out at Dallas against the Cowboys. And so today, Bill Kenny and company have put on a good, solid effort. The defense has reacted, and the defense will go to work now against Kurt Warner. And Warner just plows his way to the 21, where Gary Spaney, number 59, the 6-year veteran out of Kansas State, gets him down. Kurt Warner, one of the things about Warner, he not only has the breakaway speed, but he has tremendous power in that frame of his, which is 5'11" and 205.
Well, Merle, you're talking about power and the way the man works out and keeps himself in such condition. Watch the leg drive. He knows he's going to take it with the linebackers right now. Gary Spaney getting a free ride. Keeps those legs driving. You never know. You'll break out for a long one.
Kurt Warner over 100 yards, 11 carries, 102 yards for the day. Second down, 4. This time, Cullen Bryant. Bryant picking his way, playing the block, and getting the first down to the 26. Art Still, the old pro and the all-pro from Kentucky. Great to see Art back in action. It looked like he was going to be out for the rest of the ball game. That's what we were told originally. Took him into the dressing room, diagnosed the injury, said, hey, I want to play. Chuck Knox, we talked about another Chuck Knox in Seattle. His son, Chuck Knox Jr., in a playoff game here last night, really gave his dad a great thrill, and we're going to hopefully show you why a little later on. Great to go out and watch the kids play football. First down on the 26. Dave Craig under a rush, fumbles the football, and I believe he is ruled down, and he was at the 14. Calvin Daniels, number 50, was in there.
Seattle dodged a big bullet right there. I'm not sure he was really down. They're always calling the quarterback in the grasp. Was he sacked? Was he not? We'll take a look for ourselves and see. The officials did call him down. That's a fumble in my book. I don't see that as a sack.
That's a 12-yard loss, and Mike Bell had visions of being an offensive player there and taking one in for the defense.
That's one of the judgment calls by the officials now, and they've got too many decisions to make. And one of their prerequisites that they have to do right now is protect that quarterback.
Seattle will go with 4 wideouts. Paul Johns, Harold Jackson, Steve Largent, Byron Walker, and Dan Dornick is in the backfield. They got 5 receivers on a 2nd and 22. Dornick shotguns it and completes it to number 89, Byron Walker. Walker has a lot of yards to pick up for the first down. Thomas Howard chased him out of bounds. They got only 9 on it. So they still got a long way to go on 3rd down coming up.
And there's a dynamite battle going on the line of scrimmage between number 99, Mike Bell, who we've said is having a tremendous year for the Chiefs, against number 64, the tackle, Ron Essig.
Essig was shaken up in the last series. Ron is, well, earlier this year he had a sprained knee, and he got jarred a little bit in the last series, but he's back. We've had a flag down thrown in the last play. I believe we've got a pass interference call.
As good as Warner's running, and he's tremendous, the Seahawks are going to have to throw the ball to win this game.
Illegal use of the hand. Number 64 on the offense. Still 2nd down.
Well, we've just got a good old illegal use of the hands penalty. That one against Ron Essig out of Grand Valley State.
Well, his job is to protect the quarterback, and he's got a guy on the defensive line coming after that quarterback.
2nd down and 2 miles, 49 yards. Thought I saw a pass interference call. It was just illegal use of the hand. That's the one. Kansas City said, we've got it. The Chiefs have it. All right. That started out either as an inside handoff or a fake.
And there's a very discouraged coach, Chuck Knox. They started the game last week with David Hughes fumbling the ball away to the Broncos. Now fumble recovery by the Chiefs on the 1-foot line. We'll take a look at it. Get a good look from the end zone. Right behind Craig. Inside look. Oh, he threw it. That wasn't Warner, the quarterback. It slipped out of his hand. Number 99, Mike Bell, recovers it on the 1-yard line.
So Chuck Knox says, oh, no, not Denver again with all those mistakes and the turnovers. They had 8 of them last week. Mike Bell having an all-pro year. Kansas City leading by 7. 1 yard to go for 6 more. Tuiasosopo comes in as the 4th man as a down lineman now. Kenny right over the top, touchdown. Bill Kenny getting a 2nd touchdown of the year, carrying the football. And the Seattle fans are wrestling.
Well, they have a right to be. They had a terrible game last week with all the turnovers, and this turnover here just possibly takes them right out of the playoffs. Take another look at how the quarterback utilizes his size. The linebackers are moving with the tight end in motion, and Bill Kenny jumps up and over for 6.
You know, last week in Denver, Chuck Knox was right on the verge of bringing Jim Zorn back. Almost, but not quite.
Well, he would have if Craig hadn't completed the pass to Walker.
Nick Lowry with Bill Kenny holding. And Lowry makes it 21-7, Kansas City. So the Chiefs, who still are hoping that they'll get a playoff shot, are leading by 2 touchdowns.
And a terrific look at exactly what happens. Is this meant to be a shovel pass? I wouldn't think so down on the 2-yard line. Miscommunication between Warner and Craig. Number 99 comes up with the ball, leads to a touchdown for the Chiefs.
You know, if that was to be a shovel, it looked like Warner was really surprised.
I don't think it would be meant to be that you would pitch the ball on your own 1 with 99 yards to go offensively.
Nick Lowry kicks it away, gets a lot of foot in this one. But Zachary Dixon will have a return on it from the goal line. And after that Kansas City touchdown, this is exactly what Seattle needed. A strong return, 34 yards. And Derwood Rockmore makes the tackle for Kansas City.
I was a former teammate of Zach Dixon's, and this is a terrific exact reason why Chuck Knox picked him up. Take a look at the strength of this. It's not one of your plays everybody wants to handle, the kickoff return. And look at the drive and the desire, going backwards and forwards. A nice return, 32-yard return by Zach Dixon.
The ball shy of the 35 in Seattle territory. 4:53 to go in the first half. Craig has a man. Largent to the 43 of Kansas City. Deron Cherry, the free safety, brings him down after a 25-yard pickup, and you're going to see why Largent's one of the best.
And you can't talk enough about Largent. He is just fantastic. Watch the ball a little bit ahead of him, coming out on the fingertips, juggling it a while, knows he's going to get hit, but just concentrates long enough to carry that ball. They've completed some 74 passes to their wide receivers, and he's got 55 of them. Take a look at the pattern. A quick drive down and in, and the fingertip catch over the middle.
First down in the 43 of Kansas City. 4 minutes, 12 seconds to go in the first half. Back to the run with Warner. Warner not seeing much daylight, but enough to get two, and Thomas Howard wraps him up. It'll be second down and 8.
And we know in past history from Chuck Knox type football that he doesn't want to throw the ball, getting to that passing contest. But being down by 14 points, they're going to have to throw just as they did just a moment ago to Largent.
We're inside the 4-minute mark here in the Kingdome in Seattle. John Zamberlin coming out as a linebacker. Second down 8. Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. Flags go down all over the place. The clock stopped with 3:27 to go in the first half. Kansas City leading 21-7. Holding against the defense. First down for Seattle.
And a late call on that one. We'll be able to see the tip. Greg's not one of your taller quarterbacks in the NFL. You see exactly what the quarterback sees right now. There's a lot of traffic in front of you. Right over the center. Ball is knocked away.
Before the ball is thrown. Number 23 on the defense. First down.
Lucius Smith was holding before the ball was thrown. John Macbeth said, hey, Lucius, I didn't teach you to do that.
This is Lucius' first start for a while because he hasn't been playing well. As we take a look at Lucius, they've been playing Trent Bryant in there, and this is the type of play that'll get you on the bench again.
Chiefs got him from the Rams in the Steve Fuller trade that made Bill Kenny the #1 quarterback. John Mackovic says, I am a one-quarterback man. Craig, ball tipped again, caught by Bryant, and when he gets nailed by Deron Cherry, he drops the football. Clock is stopped with 3:22 to go. Paul Johns out of University of Tulsa as is Steve Largent, who plays the other side.
This is exactly why it's so difficult for the receivers. Coming in, they see the linebackers, all the traffic. Now he knows he's going to get hit right in the eye with the fist. Some people wanting the face mask on that one. You can see him down. He took a finger in the eye.
Second down coming up. Cullen Bryant goes to the sideline now. And Charlie Young goes out for Seattle. So let's look for the 4 wideouts. Byron Walker, Steve Largent, Paul Johns, Harold Jackson, and Dan Dornick in the backfield. 5 receivers. Craig under a blitz. And he is out of bounds. Walker, the receiver, out of bounds at the 18. Lucius Smith pushed it out after a 23-yard pickup.
And Merle, you're going to see some good heads-up play. First by the quarterback because he's being rushed, and then Walker being able to stay on the side. And watch, he sees the rush, able to dodge it, coming over, throwing on the run, luckily to his left, a little bit easier. Right in, and receiver stays in bounds. That's a nice play.
Let's see what Steve Largent's doing all the time. He's over there just in case. You know, Jim, I still would like to see the NFL go to 1 foot in bounds. That's about taking pressure off the officials.
Oh, sure, I would too. Yeah.
And the game, let's face it, they keep, you know, when the rules changes are made, it usually favors the offense. That would also favor the offense, but it will really take heat off the officials.
And likely that will be one of the next changes.
First down to the 18 of Kansas City. Showing blitz. Timeout. We had 4 seconds left on the clock. Seattle takes its first time out and 2 to go. So apparently Craig looked at the clock, wasn't satisfied with what he saw defensively, or at least was concerned about the play that was set in, and he called timeout.
Well, that's a smart thing to do. He's not... You know, Merle, it isn't really a surprise when two new coaches in the NFL, of course Chuck's not, but with the new team, and Makovic with the Chiefs, one of their first moves that they make, they trade for that veteran center, the pivot man, Rush from San Diego to Kansas City. They say maybe one of the best trades they've ever made in Kansas City. And then Chuck going to Cincinnati and picking off Blair Bush to solidify his offensive line.
John Makovic has really generated excitement in Kansas City. Next week, his Chiefs will take on the Buffalo Bills. We understand the game is not sold out, so we're gonna be looking in that game for somewhat of an aerial show with Kenny and Joe Ferguson.
Well, you know, it kind of surprises me. Chiefs fans have kind of lost themselves and not gone to the games, and the Seattle fans, you just have to applaud them for always supporting their club.
Speaking of Joe Ferguson, he just hit Hunter for a tying touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams. And San Diego with Dan Fouts back in business, throwing 2 touchdown passes, leading Denver by 2 touchdowns. And the Raiders are over the Giants by 5. That's kind of an odd score. Ozzie Sheets has kicked a 31-yard field goal. And the Green Bay Packers are coming on to lead Atlanta by 10. Lynn Dickey has thrown for 3 touchdown passes today. That's going to give him 29. He's already established a new record for the Packers. The old one held by Cecil Isbell. You got to go back a few years for that one. It was 24. First down to the 18. Craig going for the end zone, wide open. Here's his receiver, Byron Walker, with his 2nd touchdown of the year.
Perfectly thrown ball by Craig, and do they leave for the all-pro cornerback, the Chiefs, in the dust, number 24, Gary Green. Watch him, he's wide open. Perfect ball, touchdown for Byron Walker. Look at him shaking his feet, making sure he's in bounds.
So Dave Craig to Byron Walker, Walker's 2nd touchdown pass of the year, and Craig's 12th that he has thrown. Johnson with Zorn holding. Kansas City's lead has been cut to 7 with 3 minutes and 6 seconds to go in the first half. So the Seattle Seahawks come roaring back on this touchdown pass by Craig.
Absolutely perfectly thrown ball. For a touchdown, we'll be right back after these messages.
We're told that Gary Spaney has been shaken up, and he has been in and out the last couple of series and is not really sure he's playing in Seattle. So let's hope that Gary is okay and everything will come back nice and clear to him. Hancock to take the kickoff from the 2. Seattle special teams cover well. A 15-yard return. Eric Lane, whose Uncle MacArthur used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs, gets credit for the tackle.
Merle, a perfect example of what special teams play is all about. It's total sell out of the body, and we saw it right there.
And the Seattle wave is taking place here in the Kingdome. And really whooping it up. Wayne Rooney, the veteran trainer of Kansas City, going over to find out about Hancock.
Boy, that's called selling it out for yourself right there. Tremendous coverage by the Seahawks.
So the Seahawks fans really reacting. 2 minutes, 57 seconds to go in the first half. Kansas City leading 21-14. Well, the fans are turned on. They're hoping now the defense can pin Kansas City down. And they can have one more shot before the first half. Completed to Carson, and Carson has the first down and is out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Kenny Easley, the strong safety, got him after a 14-yard pickup. And Kenny and Carson played that oh so cool, although Kenny was under a big rush.
Well, that's what happens when you have the total communication between your quarterback and receiver. I like what we're seeing today. The youngsters in the NFL with Carson and Walker and Page catching a lot of good balls. That's what's nice to have a mobile quarterback that steps up and he hits his receiver on the sideline. That is a very, very nice play. Easily, though, just about pushing himself for a penalty on the sideline.
2 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first half. Kansas City on top, 21-14, rather. Theodis Brown tripping on the AstroTurf or the artificial turf and going down to 32, covered by Robinson, the linebacker. And the clock running at 2:36 to go in the first half. These fans are going bananas.
Well, they get involved in the game, and it does affect the opponent. You notice, though, since the opening drive of the Chiefs, they've turned conservative.
Second down coming up for Kansas City, and the clock down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half. They'll turn it on when the Dallas Cowboys come to town next week. And you can believe Kansas City's fans are going to react like this when the Buffalo Bills come to Arrowhead next week. Second down. Kenny hangs on to go to the 36. Darrell Irvin, number 70, making the tackle, and we're down to the 2-minute warning. And for Kansas City, Bob Rush, the center, is shaken up. And Wayne Rudy, the trainer, comes on to have a look at him. So we have timeout for the 2-minute warning. Rush, we just talked about being a key to the Kansas City offensive line. We'll be back. Bob Rush has had to come to the sideline for Kansas City. He was the #1 draft choice of San Diego and made the 1977 All-Rookie team, and he's been a key to this Kansas City offensive line. He'll be replaced by Adam Lingner, the rookie, out of the University of Illinois, who handles the deep snap. Let's see if we can tell what happened here. Now watch Kenny, and right behind him there is Bob Rush. And he is down. Looks like he got a knee around the ankle there. And we've got lots of action on the line of scrimmage. Rich Baldinger, who is playing the left tackle spot for the injured Matt Herkenhoff. As he stood up, it looked like he was trying to call time, but it's illegal procedure against Kansas City.
And this doesn't surprise me. Seattle in the thick of the playoff run. The Chiefs trying to hold on to a 7-point lead. Both these teams in the same division. Tempers flare at this time of the season.
Number 77 of the offense, still third down.
Rich Baldinger, the second-year man from Wake Forest, hit with a foul. Third down, 10 for Kansas City. Shotgun. Listen to this crowd. Great catch on the 43-yard line for a first down by Carlos Carson. So Carson comes up with a big catch for Kansas City with 1 minute 47 seconds left in the first half. 11 yards. Carson has caught at least one pass in each of the last 23 games, including this one. That goes all the way back to 1981. He had a big week last week. Just simply throwing the ball away. Marshall drew double coverage from Schultz, the linebacker, and Harris, the free safety.
Seahawks almost got caught that time. They're sitting there arguing about the play. Kansas City coming out and trying a quick play on them. Actually, they got away with some. They had 12 men on the field. The officials didn't call it that time.
Second down coming up. Theodis Brown comes into the lineup for Kansas City. Coming to the sideline is Stephon Page. 1 minute 26 to go in the first half. Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you. Kansas City with a 21-14 lead. Screen. Ken Thomas stopped on the 47 by Don Dupac, who is the nickelback. And Darrell Irwin, number 70, who's playing the defensive right end, and timeout is called for Kansas City. So the Chiefs are down to 2 timeouts. And with 1:17 left to go, let's see what the Chiefs have cooked up for the finish of this first half. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. For Kansas City, Bob Rush, their starting center, and the anchor of that offensive line, has gone to the dressing room for examination with 1:17 left to go in the first half. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Bill Kenny has hit 10 out of 17, 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jacob Green firing across the line of scrimmage for Seattle. And we have an indication that Kansas City is guilty. Illegal procedure.
And Merle, that's what happens when your veteran center gets injured. Everybody was expecting that ball to be snapped, and he didn't snap it. Even Kenny was moving in back. So the whole team was in motion that time. And when you lose that center, you sometimes have the fumble at the line of scrimmage.
False start of the offensive line. Still third down.
Or what we just had there. He didn't snap the ball on the count out of shotgun.
Third down 10. The penalties, not bad. Shotgun. Incomplete. Double coverage on Carson. Kenny Easley was over there. And he had another blue shirt with him. So Bill Kenny and the Chiefs will give up the football with 1:12 to go in the first half.
And what they want to make sure right now is to get this ball downfield and don't, under any circumstance, don't let Seattle have a run back. Punt the ball down the sidelines, if anything. Don't let them have a big run back.
Well, the man that's back there had a 75-yard return for a touchdown against the Raiders earlier this year. Paul Johns, as Jim Arnold, the rookie from Vanderbilt, will kick it away.
Johns is number 2 in the AFC in punt returns. See, they're going away from him, going to the sideline. And not a very good punt.
And Seattle will have pretty good field position outside their own 30 with 1:06 left to go in the first half. A kick of 27 yards. So Dave Craig has 1:06 to do some things. Tonight on First Camera, teenage tragedy. They were brothers, young and gifted, until a drunk driver took their lives. What can we all learn from this tragedy? That didn't have to happen. Also a report on a special police unit that tracks repeat offenders and stops them before they can strike again. On First Camera, followed by another action-packed episode of Knight Rider. And Paul Newman of the network movie premiere of Fort Apache, the Bronx, all tonight on NBC. Lots of wideouts for Seattle. Intercepted at the 46-yard line by Albert Lewis, the nickelback. Craig gets him out of bounds.
I'm glad they did that. I knew they would do that.
Albert Lewis with his 4th interception of the year, intended for Walker, and Lewis returns it 33 yards.
What a fantastic play. Jumps, uses his height to get the ball. Otherwise, it's a touchdown. Walker's wide open. Lewis carries it. He's their nickelback. The 5th back coming in, taking the ball back. The mistake you can't make, Seattle just made.
Lewis, the rookie from Grambling, and now Kansas City, with 55 seconds to go, will try to come out of this half with some kind of a score, hoping they'll get 7.
Well, the defense now has to get strong. They have to say, hey, okay, the offense having a tough day. Try to hold them to 3. Don't give them a 7 in here before they go in at halftime.
At the 13 of Seattle, first down, Kansas City. Incomplete, intended for Marshall. Bill Kenny almost got blindsided.
Safe play, Merle. Safe play by the Chiefs. If it's not caught by Marshall, it's certainly not intercepted because it's going out of bounds. See, we'll be able to take a look. Just a simple down and out, 5 yards. The linebacker riding, but watch it. If it's underthrown, it's intercepted. This way, if it's not caught, hey, there's no interception.
Man, that's tough. That's tough coverage for Schultz over there.
You bet it is.
Will. Second down. Here they come. Blitz on. Safety blitz by Easley. Brown beats it for a touchdown. 13 yards.
surprised. They caught Kinney easily in a blitz. He got an excellent block right there on your screen from number 88, Carlos Carson, to allow him to go around the corner into the end zone. Now, this is going to be a tough halftime right now with Chuck Knox and his Seahawks. They've really got to gear it up. You'll be able to see it right there. It's the perfect screen block by number 88, and they take it in for a touchdown. A very quiet stadium right now in Seattle.
So Theodis Brown loved that one against his old team. That's his 5th rushing touchdown of the year. He's also caught one.
Well, Chuck was disgusted after last week's performance, and he certainly can't be pleased at all with what he's seeing now with these turnovers and bad plays.
Nick Lowry with Kenny Holding. And again, the Chiefs have a 2-touchdown lead. 28-14 with 45 seconds to go in the first half. So the Seahawks, who were the victims of themselves at Denver last week, 4 pass interceptions, 4 fumbles, just had a tough day giving the football away.
And that's a tremendous play, Merle. Carson comes in with the block. They take it in the end zone for a touchdown. A very disillusioned Seattle Seahawks football team right now.
So Theodis Brown racks one up for Kansas City on a 13-yard touchdown run, 9 carries, 50 yards. Coming up at halftime, NFL 83 with scores and highlights of all the games. Lynn Berman and company will be with you. Well, again, Seattle with 45 seconds will need a big return. Nick Lowry, we talked about the strong leg that he has on field goals. A 58-yarder, or in Lowry's book, is the 3rd longest in NFL history. Tom Dempsey had a 63-yarder for New Orleans back around 1970, 71.
He could get a little more distance if he put a tilt on that ball on the tee. But he doesn't do it. He prefers the height on the kickoff.
Dixon from his 4. Flag down. Dixon out of bounds at the 34. Chased out by Durwood Rockmore. 32-yard return, but the play won't stand. They're going to bring him back. So Dixon getting Seattle reasonable field position with 37 seconds left. But that goes down the drain on the penalty.
Chuck and his quarterbacks on the sideline deciding whether just to run these 37 seconds out. Don't make another mistake with the interception like they just had last time to lead to the Chiefs touchdown. I would assume they'll run the clock here.
Illegal block, number 63 on the run back, first down at 10.
Mark Hicks, a linebacker, illegal block on the return. Well, the last 2 Kansas City touchdowns have been gifts, more or less.
Oh, yes. Absolutely they have, as Denver's were last week in Denver.
In fact, the first one was an outright gift because they only had a yard to go as Kansas City recovered on the 1-yard line. Then the interception, good return, 13-yard run by Theodis Brown, and Kansas City is up by 2 touchdowns.
Probably a good time just to be very conservative here and go in at halftime and gather yourselves up.
Cullen Bryant for a couple. Dino Mangiero, Gary Spaney. Good to see Gary back in action. He was shaken up, but he is back. We still don't know about Bob Rush. 19 seconds to go, and the clock running in Seattle, letting it run.
Absolutely. This is a smart thing to do. Get inside with the coaching staff and try to figure out what has gone wrong.
Down to 6 seconds, and Seattle lets the clock roll, and we're at halftime, and the Kansas City Chiefs lead the Seattle Seahawks by a 28-14 score. And so, as Kansas City leads by 2 touchdowns, NFL 83. Less than a minute into the second quarter on this great touchdown catch by Stephon Page.
This is nice as you'll see anywhere in football by any receiver. This youngster has been tremendous. Watch the leaping ability, the concentration on the ball. It goes way up high, takes it in for a beautiful touchdown.
That's almost a repeat of what he did against Dallas last week.
It's the exact same play.
After Stephon Page put Kansas City ahead 14-7, then Seattle fumbled deep in its own territory, and Bill Kinney plunged in from 1 yard out to make it 21-7. Then Byron Walker caught an 18-yard touchdown pass from Craig for Seattle. It was 21-14. And then Theodis Brown scored on a 13-yard run with 45 seconds left, and it's 28-14.
And we see the stats right there, and one thing that jumps right out of the total yards of the Chiefs. They've been able to do it, and the rushing yards of the Seahawks with Kurt Warner already over 100 yards. Matter of fact, he had, I believe, 96 in the first quarter.
And Kansas City has not turned the ball over.
No, they haven't, and that's the problem on the other side of the line of scrimmage with the Seahawks. And knowing Chuck Knox as well as I did, playing for him when I was at the New York Jets, I'm sure he had some very harsh, some very serious words for this ball club at halftime in their locker room, because it's exactly what gave the game away last week. People in Denver will say defense, defense, but people up here, and I saw the game, I believe they self-destructed. They gave the ball away, and they're doing the same thing again today with the Chiefs.
Of course, Craig doesn't have anything to do with giving the ball away, except on that one mishandle back there at the 1-yard line. But since the Seahawks have not really been able to generate anything very strong here in the second quarter, do you think we might see Zorn in the second half?
Oh, I think that's a very distinct possibility, because we know that he was going to make the move last week. You see Kenny 10 of 19, Dave Craig 5 of 10, 2 touchdowns, and Craig with that big interception that turned into a touchdown for the Chiefs.
So Kenny and Craig and maybe Zorn, and Nick Lowry is getting ready to kick off for Kansas City, so the Seahawks get first shot here in the third period.
Good picture of the man who's 10 for 10 inside the 40, never missed a field goal inside the 30 in his entire career.
This is going to be very short. Takes one bounce to Hughes, and he doesn't get much out of it. It may be a yard return at the 24-yard line, covered by Albert Lewis. What could have been a pretty good return turned out to be zilch.
Well, I think that was a planned kickoff by the Chiefs, knowing they don't want to have Zach Dixon run it back, because he did a predetermined kick to the sidelines to David Hughes.
Dave Craig will be the quarterback to open the third quarter. You know, Chuck Knox is not a coach to change just for change for the sake of
absolutely
change.
Right. Now we watch this. So the kickoff's very, very high to David Hughes. He's only got one return up the sideline. Instead, he muffs the ball.
First down, Seattle at the Seahawks 24. Zips it over the middle, completes it to his tight end, Charlie Young. And Young has a first down on the 32-yard line, and Gary Spaney yanks him down, and that's his first reception of the day. He had 339 yards coming into the ball game, and look what he has done in a career, though.
Watching the game last week, he made one of the prettiest fingertip catches I've ever seen by a tight end. All teams have to utilize the tight end more, and the Seahawks haven't done it.
You know, when he caught a touchdown pass against the Raiders, it was the first tight end touchdown reception by a Seahawk since 1979. Then he came back, fumble again by Craig. Looks like he covers it, and he'll get a yard. So that's another problem that Chuck Knox has to worry about. Blair Bush, his regular center, out of action except on long snaps. Connie Kawhi, the second-year man from Hawaii, is in there, and he just hasn't worked that much with Craig.
Well, but you do get a lot of work during practice, Merle, and this should not happen, because they go all week long with maybe 400 snaps, never fumble one, and yet it comes up on Sunday.
Second down, 9 on the 38 of Seattle. Kansas City ahead 28-14. Merle Harmon and Jim Turner with you in the Kingdome. Largent breaks, and there he is. A ball thrown behind him, not thrown well. Largent came in motion, made his break, and the pass thrown behind him. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is WDAF TV4, Kansas City.
At the Kingdome in Seattle, Kansas City on top by 2 touchdowns, and Seattle faced now with a third down and 9 on the 38-yard line of the Seahawks. Has Paul Johns, Harold Jackson, Steve Largent, and Byron Walker as wideouts, and Dan Dornick as a halfback who is capable of catching the football. Out of the shotgun, that's Johns. It's intercepted by Kansas City and dropped by Lloyd Burris. Burris almost had his 5th interception of the year, but he couldn't hang on to it. tell you, if Paul Johns catches this ball, he's a miracle worker.
Well, everybody knows that they're going to throw the ball deep because they've got 4 wide receivers in it, and Dave Craig not doing a good job reading the safety off. Number 34, Lloyd Burris, hitting in there at the same time as the receiver gets there. That was a good defensive play, no interference.
Burris and Cherry double teaming. Jeff West into punt for Seattle on 4th down and 9. Anthony Hancock deep for Kansas City. Hancock calls for the fair catch, fields the ball at his own 17. 45-yard kick, no return. Kansas City takes over, leading 28-14 with 13 minutes and 15 seconds left in the third quarter. Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealers. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Lee Jeans, the brand that fits. And by Honda Motorcycles. Honda, follow the leaders. Earl Herman and Jim Turner with you at the Kingdome in Seattle. Over 60,000 on hand today. Kansas City is leading by 2 touchdowns. The Chiefs have the ball at the Kansas City 17. Bill Kenny having a fine afternoon with the Chiefs. Kenny to Thomas out of the backfield. Thomas fumbles the football. Seattle may get it. Recovered the ball before it could get out of bounds, and he had to do that last possession, and Sheldon Robinson got it. Dave Brown was also over there to see if he couldn't help Robinson. Here's Robinson now on the tackle.
Get the hand in there, and the ball flies out, but they do have control of it. Dave Brown, number 22, as he goes out of bounds. A good call, good hustle by the Seahawks. It's the break they've needed.
So there's the man who stripped the ball, Robinson, and then Brown comes over.
So he's got control as he goes out of bounds.
Dave Craig under a rush. Down he goes on the sack as the Chiefs were coming hard with Dino Mangieri.
And they're calling it a sack. The quarterback fumbled the ball, but once again, they're calling the ball down. A tremendous rush by the Kansas City Chiefs. Seahawks trying to get the ball in there quickly for a touchdown.
Third sack of the afternoon for Kansas City. And Mangiero blew in there with his 264 pounds. He was all over Craig. We have a discussion at the 27-yard line.
Well, they might want to take the loss there. The quarterback was knocked down for
illegal motion of the offense. Penalty is declined. The quarterback is ruled down in the grass. It'll be 2nd down.
So they'll take the sack. They'll take the lost yardage. Good call by the Kansas City Chiefs. Here it is right here, and be able to judge for yourself. It's a tremendous rush, and he loses the ball. Once again, I don't think that is a sack, as they call it, or in the grasp. I think that's the second time today the officials have allowed that one to go.
You saw Mangiero pop in there, and then the blitz by Gary Spaney. 2nd down, 17 on the 27 of Kansas City. Here comes the blitz. They pick it up. Craig going for Johns, and it's incomplete as Gary Green went for the interception of the end zone.
And really not a well-designed play. Double coverage on his wide receiver. Only man downfield. Everybody else staying in to block. An easy cover play, as they say, for the Chiefs. Now, the one thing you can't do here, Merle, is not come out and take advantage of this break. They must at least get 3 points.
Durwood Rockmore has come into the defensive backfield. Jim Zorn getting saddled up.
Well, I think Chuck did not like that call or that read by the quarterback.
12 minutes, 54 seconds to go in the third quarter. Kansas City leading by 2 touchdowns. Craig in the shotgun. 3rd and 17. Here come the Chiefs. Over the middle. Touchdown, Seattle.
draw it up on the board. You spread it out with the receivers and get Dan Dornick one-on-one with somebody and they can't cover him. He beat number 21, number 20, Deron Cherry for a touchdown.
23 times this year on third down, the call has gone to Dornick, and he has picked up the first down or more 17 times.
He's that situational player, same as Jimmy Kick was for Don Shula down with the Miami Dolphins in the great days down there. Come in on third down, and you know he's going to be the man they go to.
Craig is now 7 out of 15, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Dave Craig may get to hang around a little while longer.
Well, we'll see. This is certainly the opportunity that they needed. That fumble recovery for 7.
Norm Johnson with Zorn holding. 12 minutes, 48 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And Jim Turner, you alluded to the fact that Seattle had to score one way or another.
Oh, they have to. You've got to take advantage of the opportunity given you.
So they get the big 7 on this Dornick touchdown pass that covers 27 yards. We'll be back.
Opportunity to see what the quarterback sees during the game. In one-on-one, Dan Dornick with Deron Cherry in for the touchdown. Perfectly designed play when they're going against that defense.
13 touchdown passes for Dave Craig this year. Norm Johnson to kick it off for Seattle. Anthony Hancock deep. Hancock on the 4. What a hit. He may have fumbled a football. Seattle has it.
Talking about it all game. Watch it, they're going to take it right up the middle, but watch what Rusty Tillman's troops do on special teams. Boom, boom, takes it in, and a turnover. Seattle now taking advantage. That's all out selling your body going down on special teams.
And you saw Joe Norman going after the football.
Exactly.
Eric Lane was in there. Norman, I believe, came out with it. First down Seattle on the 18-yard line of Kansas City.
I like it, Merle. It's old-time, hard-nosed football. On the tackle after an 8-yard pickup. Merle, that run was for only 8 yards, but he made a cut, an unbelievable cut at the line of scrimmage. Watch it as we see him take the hand up right there, instantly to his left. Only 8 yards, but what a fine run.
And you know, I had a chance to see Connie Kawhi, who has really got a lot of pressure on him, the center today. He did a great job of blocking on Mangiero on that last play. Second down and 2. Who is also a substitute offensive lineman today for Seattle, leading the blocking for Warner for a first down. It is goal to go with the 7.
Merle, we're witnessing a performance such as the great running backs in the NFL. This certainly is one of them, Kurt Warner. He is so driven by desire and the fact that he wants to prove exactly what the Seahawks did was the right move, and it certainly was.
First and goal, Seattle, for a potential tying touchdown. Bryant. Not quite. Deron Cherry stops him at the 1.
What more can you ask for with the back of Kurt Warner's move, and then you put the tank in, Cullen Bryant. He's not going to be stopped by any single tackler. Watch this. 1 man, 2 men, still driving, stopped on the 1-yard line.
Bryant has not seen much action this year. He started at fullback against Kansas City in the first game of the season. Kansas City won that one, by the way. Today, 9 carries, 35 yards going into the game. He has picked up 26 yards. 3 tight ends for Seattle.
I've noticed in the last 4 or 5 times they've kicked extra points that both teams are getting penetration. So this is not necessarily a gimme to tie it up. Both teams have been in and possibly could block the kick.
And I just saw something a moment ago as Jim Zorn came on to hold and Craig was going off. Zorn went over and grabbed him, shook his hand as if to say, hang in there, it'll be all right. And don't forget, this is the man that's going to hold the ball that wants to be the quarterback today and any other day. Johnson ties it.
I think you can call this an old-fashioned barn burner right here. Starting the second half up. Watch it up and over the top, and we see something we haven't seen all year. Watch the emotion of the great one out of Penn State. He does it, spikes it, puts it right back.
Seattle recovered the fumble, and 4 plays later it tied the game on Warner's 12th touchdown of the year.
We started new, 0-0, 28-28, but it's a new ball game.
Hancock. Special team coverage again, stopping him short of the 20. A 14-yard return. Don Dufek, number 35, out of the University of Michigan. He's the headhunter. He's the guy you can always see on kickoff or punt. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. By quarters. You got to like a football game like this.
Absolutely love it. This is at its best. I just love it.
One thing Kansas City has to do right now is stop the Seattle momentum.
Stop the Seattle crowd from getting in there and affecting the game.
They've got to control the ball for a while.
That's right.
Incomplete. Dave Brown had the coverage. Second down 10 for Kansas City.
And I really don't think he meant to continue on with that pass. Dave Brown, number 22, had beautiful coverage. They've been working with Marshall against Kerry Justin all day. You don't want to make that pass in there because if it's slightly behind, Dave Brown will take it, and he's gone for 6.
Henry Marshall did everything possible to catch that ball.
Yeah.
Bob Rush back in action at center. Second down, Kansas City. Brown and Schultz made the tackle. Jacob Green almost had him behind the line of scrimmage. But Theotis got out of the grasp of Green, and the ball is spotted at the 22-yard line, where it is third down at about 7.
McKinney's got to be very careful. We would all assume, because they're the second passing team in football, second best passing team, that he's going to throw. But he's almost had some disastrous throws in the past quarter. Wants to make sure he has a safe pass here for the first down.
Seattle floods the secondary with defensive backs. Kelly incomplete, intended for Marshall. He really took a pop by Jeff Bryant, number 77.
Boy, he took a hit there, and he's hurt. Look at him. He's not even walking off the sidelines in the right direction. Take a look at it. He took a shot from number 77 right in his face. Jeff Bryant could have been disastrous, as we said before. Watch that hit up in the chin, right down in interception territory. Merle, they need a good punt out of Arnold right now.
Arnold will kick it away to Paul John. Seattle should get great field position here.
That's right. You got to punt for the yardage now. And do these fans love it? Oh, beautiful punt. Great height.
John's on his 30. John's to the 45. A 15-yard return, and Adam Lingner makes the tackle on him. A 48-yard punt and a 15-yard return. First down, Seattle on the Seahawks 45-yard line. Hang time 4-6. Very important. We'll talk about that in a moment. And we'll be back after this. Seattle takes takes over after the punt and a good return, and they don't get too many returns on Arnold like that.
Well, Merle, the punt was excellent. 4.6 hang time. The key to it, though, is the difference in the desire and the speed of the Kansas City Chiefs. Other than Nick Lowry, they haven't really had good coverage out of the Chiefs this year. Big return, excellent field position for the Seahawks.
Todd Blackledge is warming up for Kansas City as Bill Kenny really jarred on that third down play is on the bench. Seattle first and 10 of the Seahawks 45. Play action. A little bit underthrown to Frank Largent. And Largent getting down to the 30. Trent Bryant, number 45, makes the tackle after a 24-yard pickup, and Largent can adjust almost any situation.
Merle, I think he's one of the best receivers in all of football, whether it's on grass or whether it's on turf. Watch how he comes in there. We've seen him do this so often. Stumble, possibly because of the turf, and still come up with that big play. That's a good reception.
Steve Largent heading for his 5th 1,000-yard year. First down on the 30 for Kansas City, at Kansas City's 30. Driving to the 26. Dave Lindstrom, number 71, getting up. Blanton helping out. Jerry Blanton, number 57, the linebacker, and Lindstrom, who has played for Art Still. In fact, he started when Still was out.
Both teams caught up in the emotion of the fast pace of the second half, but they don't want to forget one thing. Don't drop the ball. Don't throw an interception. At least come out of this with 3 points. If you do, you have the lead in the game.
We just moved under the 8-minute mark in the third quarter. Score tied at 28. Colin Bryant. Bryant stopped on the 24 by Charles Jackson. Number 51, the linebacker from Washington.
I believe that's exactly what Coach Knox and his offensive coaches are thinking right now. No mistakes, nothing chancy. If we throw it, it's a safe pass. You know, maybe a safety out to the receiver, the running back, or throw it away. But at least come out of this with a field goal so we can have the lead.
Kent Kramer comes in. 2 defensive backs come in as Kansas City adjusts its defense on 3rd down and 5 of the 25 of Kansas City.
By Largent, but number 45, Trent Bryant, had his arms on him all the way. It's an illegal play. They got away with it that time. Big kick now for their field goal kicker, Norm Johnson. I don't know if this man is a pressure kicker or not. He hasn't been around a long time. He's excellent on the kickoffs, but I got to tell you this, they've got to have these 3 points to take advantage of the field position that was given to them on that excellent punt return.
Norm Johnson missed one earlier today from the long range. This will be 42 yards. Zorn will hold it. In this area, he is 5 for 7 this year. Back in front, 31-28 with 6:55 left to go in the third quarter. Seattle has come back to take the lead on that field goal by Norm Johnson. 42 yards, and now we're getting the kind of scoring we were anticipating.
Absolutely. This is a fun football game, as we thought it would be.
All right. Kansas City will take a shot. Anthony Hancock on the return. He is spun out of bounds on the 24 by Kerry Justin. So the Chiefs take over trailing by 3. And now let's go to New York for an update.
Thank you, Merle Harmon. In Anaheim, Joe Ferguson for the Bills lops it 43 yards towards Byron Franklin. Eric Harris is there for the Rams. Franklin reaches back, takes it, falls over for the score. So Buffalo's now within 7. Back to you, Merle.
Thank you, Len. A wild and woolly game there, and we've got one here in Seattle. Kansas City to the run. And Ken Thomas just keeps fighting. Look at this second third question. They just couldn't get Ken Thomas down at all, that 5'9" rookie out of San Jose State. Who's like a bowling ball at 211 pounds.
Ken Thomas been in the shadow of his brother, Jarrell Thomas, also on the Chiefs team, showing you second, third, and fourth effort. Watch what it is here. He knows that they're the last rushing team in the NFL, and he doesn't want people to talk about him. Watch this effort. I'll tell you something, a lot of the Seahawks were just standing around hoping someone else would tackle him.
Ken Thomas has now picked up 43 yards on 7 carries. First down, Kansas City. Misdirection. Brought down to the 30-yard line by Michael Jackson, the outside linebacker, who was just activated today after missing 5 weeks with a knee injury.
Well, we've seen the turnaround. The first half, the Chiefs were so aroused, got a face mask against the Seahawks, and now you're seeing the swarming defense of the Seahawks. They're aroused. These are the type of mistakes that Coach Knox doesn't like, and Tom Catlin, his defensive coordinator. Coaches can't stand this one because they know it can be eliminated.
Apparently, or that's back at the line of scrimmage.
See if we can take a look at it. There it is.
Face mask by number 53 in the defense. The ball is advanced to the line of scrimmage. Still first down.
A face mask call, taking the ball back to the line of scrimmage. First down, Kansas City. Bob Rush up over the ball. Henry Marshall splits out wide to the right. Carson in the slot right. Ten yards to Willie Scott. Sheldon Robinson covering Scott along with Kenny Easley. He may be just the length of the football shy of a first down.
Seeing the tempers fly right now. Kenny once again throwing it into pretty good coverage. Takes a hit right on the back. A little shaken up. Willie Scott, number 81. His helmet flies off. Now they're getting after it. This is what football's all about. It's a contact sport.
Second down, less than a yard on the 46 of Kansas City. Seahawks lead it 31-28. Otis Brown, right, almost where he has to be for a first down. Joe stops the play. Now let's go to New York for an update.
All right, in San Diego, the Chargers pour it on. Dan Fouts, the quarterback today. Pitch out to Chuck Muncie. He easily moves on for the score. 28-7 now, San Diego over Denver. Let's now go back to Seattle.
Thank you, Lynn. My goodness, those Seahawks, what a difference Dan Fouts makes, because everybody knew that when Fouts came back, that things would be different for San Diego. First down by about the length of the football. 4 minutes, 50 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Kansas City having moved the ball from its own 24-yard line out to the Kansas City 47.
Bill Kenny has been forcing that ball into coverage. He's got to make sure that he's got a man open.
Ed Beckman, the tight end, goes to the left side. Now in motion. Kenny to Carson. Oh, what a defensive effort there by Dave Brown. Dave Brown got a hand in there to make an outstanding deflection for Seattle.
Bro, that may save a game. A play like that can turn it around. Number 22. Watch how it is. The ball's thrown beautifully. The man is open. And watch how number 22 breaks it up. Just with the hand in there, and away goes the ball. That's as pretty a play on defense as you'll see. Look at Carson. He said, I had it. I had it.
Dave Brown has already set a career interception record for Seattle. He has 29. His teammate John Harris, the free safety, now has 28. Second down, Kansas City. Blitz. Incomplete. Henry Marshall, the intended receiver. Bruce Schultz, the linebacker, coming right through the middle, and Kenny had to unload.
Credit Schultz for that pass and that play in the face of the quarterback. Has to throw the ball a little high. Good defensive effort by the linebacker of the Seahawks.
Third down, 10 on the 47. Mike McCormick is with us. He is the president and general manager of the Seattle Seahawks. Jim?
One of the fine men in football, leading one of the finest organizations. The president and general manager of the Seahawks.
Well, got a good game here, don't we, Jim?
We've had a great game.
We'll get back to Mike in a moment. Third down call coming up for Kansas City. Marshall, first down, 35. He took a double hit, but he was able to hold on to the football. Keith Simpson really popped him on the 35-yard line.
And Merle, we're taking another look at this. We'll see exactly why Henry Marshall, the leader of that young crew, he knows he's going to get nailed. Look at that hit. Most men would say, I'm hurt, take myself out of the game and drop the ball. Henry Marshall, I talked to him before the game. He says, you know what, John Stallworth, third in Pittsburgh, maybe for once I'll get my due reward and make a Pro Bowl.
18-yard pickup and a first down for Kansas City. 3:38 to go in the third quarter. Seattle leading 31-28. Carson, first and goal on the 7. Dave Brown has a coverage on Carson, a 28-yard pickup.
Merle, both sidelines, both teams, both gentlemen on the line of scrimmage, they're all into this game. A simple banana route, as the old-timers used to call it on Dave Brown, but perfect pattern by Carson, beautifully thrown football. He makes sure he's in bound and holds on the ball.
Our congratulations to Mike McCormick. You talk about a man that's done it all, a great All-American at the University of Kansas, went on to play many, many years in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. He was a coach and head coach in Philadelphia, head coach at Baltimore, coached here last year for the last 4 or 5 ball games, now the president and general manager of the Seahawks. What a job he has done. Brown, the Otis, at the 1-foot line. John Harris kept it from going in. Now Kansas City a chance to go ahead on a 2nd and goal and 1 foot away from the lead.
Merle, this is so typical of an AFC Western Division game. Hard ball all the way. Watch the desire that the Otis has, trying to get into the end zone. A good call. He slips in, but that was not a touchdown. It's on the 1-foot line. Coach Makovic checking his short list, his ready list of offensive plays that he wants called.
2nd and goal. Kenny, play action, the ball dropped to the end zone by Ken Thomas. Good call.
Oh, it's an outstanding call, and you can feel the frustration of both Thomas and Kenny, but he's running directly away from the ball. An easy pass to throw, a very difficult pass to catch. Watch this. He's wide open. He just lofts it softly in, has his hands turned backwards. He comes up. That was a sure thing.
It is 3rd down and the length of the football. Ken Thomas comes out. They had 12 men in the huddle.
Even on the 1-foot line, they go to the pass. Let's see what
Billy,
this time.
Billy Jackson is the setback. Kenny dives. Touchdown. What a third quarter.
Second time, quarterback Bill Kenny has taken it up and over the center, up and over the top, as they say, for a touchdown. We'll take a good look from the end zone. His size right here, up and over the linebackers, not able to get to him quick enough. 6 points, possibly 7 coming up off the foot of Nick Lowry. And this is a very good football game, as we expected, Merle.
Kansas City now leading 34-31.
But you notice how, even when the ball's on the 1-foot line, the Chiefs were going to the pass.
Kenny will hold it. Lowry is perfect. 2 minutes, 34 seconds to go in the third quarter. And Kansas City is now leading by 4. Here in this third quarter, it all started with Kansas City leading 28-14. Dornick scored on a 27-yard touchdown pass to cut the margin to 7. And then Seattle Kansas City fumbled the football on the next kickoff, and then Warner took it in from the 1. as Seattle recovered the fumble at the 18-yard line. Then Seattle again on a 42-yard field goal by Norm Johnson to make it 31-28. But Bill Kenny, his second touchdown of the day, and Kansas City is back in front. Coming up next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll have one of the great college basketball rivalries. The UCLA Bruins will face the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in South Bend, Indiana. Digger Phelps putting a Notre Dame team on the floor that could really create a lot of excitement this year. Then on NBC Sports World, America's top gymnastic Olympic hopefuls compete in the Women's World Invitational Gymnastics Classic. And from New York City, the Men's Open Pocket Billiard Championship. All next Saturday on NBC Sports.
Merle, I really like the enthusiastic football we're seeing from both the Chiefs and the Seahawks. There's their newest young coach, youngest one in the NFL this year, John Mackovic, loves the passing game. Hopefully the fans in Kansas City will come out and back them as they always do here in Seattle. A terrific AFC Western Division football game.
Lowry sends it down inside the 5 to Zachary Dixon. And he is bulldogged out of bounds. Steve Potter, a linebacker, got him around the neck, took him out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the 22-yard line, a 20-yard return. So now the Seahawks led by Dave Craig. You know, we talked about Dave Craig the possibility of Dave Craig maybe going out of the ball game for Jim Zorn. But he changed all that, didn't he? The Rams lead Buffalo by 24-14. San Diego with Dan Fouts at the helm, leading Denver 28-7.
Terrific opportunity now for us to get into the head of Chuck Knox and see just exactly what he's going to call here with a 4-point lead.
You saw the Green Bay score. The Packers trying to get a playoff spot. Warner dipped his shoulders with a fake. Carey pursuing him. And that little fake by Warner at about the 28-yard line got him some extra yardage and a first down, picking up 13.
Merle, we've talked about Kurt Warner all afternoon, but another time, once again, we see a tremendous block by a wide receiver, Steve Largent. And we watched the high school football game last night with the youngster's name of Chuck Knox, and you're going to watch this one. I think you will like this. This is number 32, last night's semifinal games in the championships up here in Washington. Young Chuck Knox taking the ball, 64 yards for a touchdown. The whole Knox family was there, and you know they were excited about that.
Dave Craig, as we see another Knox emerge on the scene. Dave Craig back to the live action, being sacked by Mike Bell for a loss of 11 yards.
Take another look at Dave Craig being sacked, and as we said at the beginning of the game, an all-pro year for number 99 out of Colorado State, Mike Bell. But the one thing I liked about that play, you do accept the sack. You don't fumble it, which they did last week, and you don't throw it away, maybe to have an interception happen to you.
Second down coming up at the 28-yard line where the ball is marked. That will make it 18 to go. Warner trying to pick his way. Ken Kramer, who just came in as the nose tackle, tripped him up, and Jerry Blanton, the linebacker, put the finishing touch on Warner. It is now third down and 17. The ball at the 29-yard line of Seattle. Dean Prater, number 79, a free agent signee in 1982 out of Oklahoma State, has come in defensively now for Kansas City. Kansas City goes to 4 down linemen. Prater moves to the inside right tackle spot. Down to the 46 of Kansas City, and Charles Jackson makes the tackle there after a 25-yard pickup, and Craig really threaded the needle on that one.
Well, Merle, by dodging the incoming traffic and stepping up into the ball, he allows his wide receiver, number 89, Byron Walker, to find the open seam, because the Chiefs are sitting back in his zone. By going up, there he is, right in the seam, all alone. They're 5-6 yards away from him.
We talked about the recovery of Dave Craig, and I'm talking about a psychological recovery.
Oh, exactly.
He was on the ropes. Zorn was warming
Yes.
up. All of a sudden, Seattle gets a break, goes in, takes the lead, and Zorn was cheerleading for Craig. Warner. Outstanding run by Warner. Calvin Daniels, number 50, a linebacker, making the stop.
Merle, for the good people in Kansas City watching the game, their owner in the Hall of Fame, Lamar Hunt, and I tell you what, they've got a Hall of Fame ownership and managing people up here with the Nordstroms, Mike McCormick, Chuck Knox, and all of his staff. Nice run here by Kurt Warner.
That's the end of the third quarter. Back after this from your local station.
New career high for Kurt Warner today, 144 yards, as we see on the screen, but just 8 yards away from Sherman Smith's all-time Seattle Seahawk record of 152 yards. He continues to shine.
Kurt Warner, the great All-America from Penn State. Second down, length of the football to go as we open the fourth quarter. Ball at the 36-yard line of Kansas City. Warner gets the first down at the 34. Jerry Blanton, 57, is there on the tackle. So Warner inching up now on Sherman Smith's record, the all-time rushing record.
Well, you wonder over a game or over a couple of seasons when the coach starts thinking about, hey, how many times can I run the guy without shortening his career at the other end? We've seen Earl Campbell take such a beating. Walter Payton seems to be able to bounce back as most thoroughbreds do. You think they think about that a lot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Craig, first down, Largent in motion. Craig gets turned upside down by Charles Jackson. And Craig landed on his head, but he's going to pick up yardage. He'll be short of a first down by about 3, possibly 2. It'll be second down coming.
And what a play by Charles Jackson, number 51, linebacker of the Chiefs. Craig, everybody's covered now. He knows. Now he sees he's got an open field. Charles Jackson juking as a running back would Reggie McKenzie and makes a touchdown-saving tackle right there.
Second down coming up. Charles Jackson recovered a fumble and scooted 37 yards for a touchdown against St. Louis. So he likes to be around the ball carrier. Never can tell, says Charles Jackson. Warner, Mangiero pulls him down from behind. And we have an official's timeout. They're going to look for a first down. That third quarter was absolutely loaded with excitement.
One of the first times you'll ever see the Chiefs on the short end of total yardage. The game's not over yet, but that's a rarity to see that stat.
We had all kinds of things happen in that third quarter to change the stats to see what you see now. 317 yards for the Seahawks, Chiefs 295.
Merle, important drive right here, because if you don't score, you get the touchdown. You're one touchdown ahead. You forced them to go for 7. And I tell you something, this is a very, very important drive.
Warner at 149 yards, really closing in on Sherman Smith's all-time rushing record for one game here in Seattle. First downs, even. Good ball game. At the 22 of Kansas City. Another first down at the 10-yard line. Gary Green chased him out after a 12-yard pickup.
Never seems to fail. The Seahawks always go back to their main man, number 80, Steve Largent. He's burned every team in the NFL. A perfectly thrown ball. Watch this. Nothing new for Steve Largent. What he's doing, he's driving the defender back because they didn't know if he was going to go inside for the post and make sure he catches the ball, gets that all-important first down.
Largent, 4 catches, 66 yards. He's well over the 800-yard mark for the year now. Warner down to the 8-yard line. You know, when there's no hole, that's when you see how good of a runner that Warner really is.
Well, the great running backs have proven that over the years. Jimmy Brown and Gale Sayers, Kurt Warner, Dickerson, O.J. Simpson. Quarterback tripped on that. You give that an assist on the trip there to the artificial turf.
Warner has tied Sherman Smith now at 152 yards for the day.
There's one. Needs no explanation. Although 124 yards rushing for the Chiefs is something new, they've only been averaging 71, which is the worst. 28th in the NFL.
Second down. Mangiero picks it up. Tries to lateral the ball off.
Put it away.
Mangiero out to the 45-yard line. He tried to hand that ball off to Deron Cherry. Had he done it, Cherry was ahead of him.
It would have been a forward lateral. Merle, it goes back to last week, that bonehead, the bonehead mistake. Craig is falling down, trying to use the ball as a brace so that he won't fall, and it slips right out of his hand. We take a good look at it here. Down it goes, right out of his hand. And defensive linemen really don't know what to do. We'll take a look at Mangiero. He's breaking out of it, possibly going to hand it forward. There, he decides not to. We'll be right back.
Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet. America's on the move, and Chevrolet is supplying the wheel. Chevrolet and you taking charge. By the Travelers Insurance Companies and your independent professional Travelers agent or broker. And by Hertz, the #1 way to rent a car. Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you at the Kingdome in Seattle, where Kansas City leads the Seahawks 35-31. And here is the new fullback for the Kansas City Chiefs, or maybe I should say a scat back.
I must say, it was a fine play.
33-yard return for Mangiero. First down to the 45 of Kansas City. Carson out of bounds, 20-yard line. 35 yards, and Kenny called a perfect play there right after that recovery of the fumble of the run by Mangiero. Try to get the big one.
Catching the Seahawks in what they call a double-double with both Easley and Brown covering Carson, but it's a perfectly thrown ball by Kenny. He's been doing it all year. Watch the pass. 2 men on him. Brown's a little bit slow, and I'll tell you the guy who got caught on this one is number 45, Kenny Easley. Should have been on the ball.
First down on the Seattle 20. Carson, 5 catches, 107 yards. Billy Jackson at the 18. Brought down by Bruce Schultz. Carlos Carson having an outstanding day. He had 7 catches for 135 yards last week against the Dallas Cowboys. He has had 5 100-yard efforts. And that ties his career record.
Well, 3 of their wide receivers had big days last week. Stephon Page, Carson, and Henry Marshall against the Cowboys.
Second down, 8. Kansas City leading 35-31. Thrown ball, but a flag is down. Caught by Carlos Carson at the play stands. It's touchdown for Kansas City of 18 yards. And it is a touchdown.
They're going to call holding on the Seahawks on that one. Little out and up route. They're going to call holding.
Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
And did Kenny set that up perfectly with a fake?
Well, what happens is the wide receiver takes the out move as if it's going to be a 5-yard out. There's the fake. He's making the out move and then up. The quarterback knows he's beat, so he grabs him, tries to knock him down, hoping the official won't catch him. But it did. Another touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here it is. There. Now you know that Kenny's pumping. Look, he knows he's been beat. He grabs for him out of desperation. The official right on the job. Touchdown. Nice catch. Carlos Carson.
So Carson rings it up for Kansas City on an 18-yard reception. Johnson, Kenny holding. And Kansas City goes ahead 42-31. 11 minutes and 4 seconds to go in the ball game. Carlos Carson, putting Kansas City ahead.
Exactly what they call in Seattle, the dreaded turnover. Greg drops the ball. Dino Mangiero turns into a svelte fullback right here. Some terrific moves for a 280-pound man. Almost decides to hand it forward, pulls it back, takes it in, and this is what sets up the pass touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs. A terrific play by Dino Mangiero.
Kenny, 16 out of 30, 231 yards and 3 touchdowns. Seattle on the return. It's going to be Hughes. David to the 31. Nice return at 24 yards. Charles Jackson brings him down. 10:54 left in the ball game. Kansas City ahead by 11. You know, you talk about Kenny in his first game of the year against Seattle. He had 19 out of 32 for 247 yards. Today, 16 for 30, 231 yards. And the crowd wants Jim Zorn.
Yes, they do. They want their old-time favorite, number 10, to come in. But as you said before, Chuck Knox is not one to make changes just for change's sake.
That's the 31 of Seattle. Greg zips it over the middle of his tight end, Charlie Young at the midfield stripe. It'll be marked on the 49-yard line. A first down on an 18-yard pickup, and Durwood Rockmore, number 38, playing at the free safety spot, gets the tackle.
Perfectly thrown ball. The tight end coming right down the seam, right down the hash mark. You wonder why they only go to the tight end once or twice a game. When they do go to him, he's wide open.
That's an amazing thing over the years. The tight end has not been on the receiving end of too many passes. We mentioned earlier that when Young scored against the Raiders, first touchdown pass to a tight end since 1979. Let's go to Charlie Warner again at the 45-yard line of Kansas City. Deron Cherry, the free safety from Rutgers. Well, they placed Gary Barbaro, made the stop.
And on that same line of thought, last week against the Broncos, 2 touchdowns to the tight ends last week. Metzler's and Charlie Young, both of them caught a touchdown pass. That's a first for Seattle.
Second down 4 for the Seahawks. John Mackovic has seen his team come from behind to take the lead, 42-31. They'd given up the lead. They led at halftime, 28-14. Gave it up to Seattle in the third quarter. Now they have it back again here in the fourth quarter with 9:39 to go. Reverse. John, first down and more. John's out of bounds at the 19-yard line, chased out by Deron Cherry. And that brings the crowd back into the game.
You absolutely have to love this type of football. As Kurt Warner has just broken the rushing record for the Seahawks. Watch, it's a fake. Everybody bites on it. They hand off on the reverse. I just like this kind of football. Takes it all the way up, 26 yards. A terrific call and a terrific run by Paul Johns.
First down at the 18-yard line of Kansas City. Plenty of time to do a lot of scoring.
Plenty of time, but this is the area that the Seahawks have been making mistakes.
Warner, good fake. Warner out of bounds at about the 15, maybe the 14. Chased out by Gary Green. Boy, the Warner is really something with his foot fakes, the shoulder fake, the head fake. He really gets you going.
Well, he reminds me so much of Gale Sayers. He gets better the tireder you would expect him to be. 163 yards on the day, as we said. That's a new Seattle Seahawk single-game rushing record.
Second down, 6 on the 14 of Kansas City. Dave Craig, looking to the sideline, has just gotten the signal on the play. Largest blitz to the right. Paul Johns to the left. Warner on the pitch. Warner near the 10. Durwood Rockmore, number 38, on the tackle. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is WDAF TV4, Kansas City.
Merle Herman and Jim Turner with you in Seattle. 3rd and 2 coming up on the 10 with 8:55 to go in the game.
Certainly have to credit the blocking for Warner on the line, and especially the tight end, Charlie Young, number 87. I went into the Chiefs locker room before the game, and the linebackers all told me, we're going to key on Warner. You can key all day long. If he's got the blocking, he's going to do what he wants to do.
Mike Tice has come in. 2 tight ends on the field now. Largent on the wing to the left. Going to be fourth down as Dave Lindstrom stops the play for Kansas City.
And what will Chuck Knox do now? He's 11 points behind. At this situation, there's a lot of time, eight and a half minutes on the board. Do you go for 3, or you try to get that first down?
Well, Kansas City is anticipating that Seattle is going to go for it.
And they are. And they are.
They're going with 4 wide receivers and Dan Dornick.
And this may be the call to decide the outcome of the game. We'll just find out.
A loss on the play made it fourth down 4. Largent to the left. Walker to the right. John going very wide to the left. 2 seconds on the clock.
Watch this, a handoff inside the Largent, a throwback, but a tremendous athletic move. Look at Craig, he's got to turn into a wide receiver. Boy, I like that.
And we have to explain that he was an eligible receiver because he was in the shotgun.
And he handed it for exactly right. Yes, you were exactly right. Now watch the move. Turns into a wide receiver there.
At the 1. Has just seen the Seahawks score again. 26 carries, 168 yards for Kurt Warner, and he gets the touchdown by the narrow margin, and it's Kansas City 42, Seattle 37.
Probably an understatement, but we are witnessing an old-fashioned barn burner. Right up and over, the Kansas City Chiefs very upset. They didn't think he made it. The officials right on the line. 6 points to see if they get 7.
Johnson for the extra point. Dorn holding. Kansas City 42, Seattle 38. 7 minutes left to play in the game.
An awful lot of football time. Watch this up and over the top for the touchdown for Kurt Warner. A big day, and we'll be right back with you. There was only 1 second left on the 30-second clock. He is an eligible receiver. He was in the shotgun, handing it forward. Watch it, he turns into a wide receiver. The big play of the game for the Seahawks. Unlike a Chuck Knox offensive play, though.
Oh, boy. Shades of Jack Patera.
Oh, I love it.
Look at that scoring. Johnson bangs it deep. Hancock downs it. Kansas City will take over on the Chiefs' 20-yard line. 6 minutes, 55 seconds left in the game. John Mackovic and his Chiefs lead at 42-38. Seattle going 69 yards on 8 plays, and Warner up over the top for the touchdown. And the crowd chanting, defense, defense, defense.
Well, they're always involved in the Kingdom. One of the great stadiums in the NFL.
Bill Kenny in the Jeep from the Kansas City 20. Ken Thomas, about a yard, if that much. Bruce Schultz kept swinging the play out, took the play to the sideline, and Ken Thomas could not make his cut. He wouldn't let him.
Merle, exactly what the fourth linebacker, when you're in a 3-4 defense, the outside linebacker has to do. String it out and get help from your buddies. Don't let them turn off field. You know, here's the area. I was talking to Coach Mackovic before the game that he really feels that it's a detriment to them. They don't have that great key runner that the offense of the Seahawks have, and he's going to have to throw the rock.
Mark Hicks has gone out, the rookie from Arizona State at linebacker, and the veteran Michael Jackson has come in. Second down, 10. The ball tipped in the air, caught by Kenny, and about the line of scrimmage. Jeff Bryant had his hands up. The ball went up in the air, and Bill Kenny looked and said, my goodness, if Mangieri can do it, I can do it. So he just took the ball out of the air and got back to the line of scrimmage, 3rd down and 10.
Well, we've known for a long time that their two bookends, number 79, Jacob Green, number 77, Jeff Bryant, are two of the best in football. The tip pass, the reason it's legal for the quarterback to go ahead and become a receiver is that the defensive man did touch the ball. You see it right here. Very, very, very good play by Bryant. Nice pursuit. Now Kenny takes it. It's legal because the defender had touched the ball. The quarterback who had it.
And Kenny took a pounding. This crowd is going to make it difficult for the Chiefs. And Kenny, to hear the snap, or rather the center, to hear Kenny. Incomplete. Carlos Carson says, I was interfered with. The intended receiver. 4th down, and Kansas City has the ball where they took it after the kickoff on the 20.
And you check the score, Seahawks only 4 points behind. They need a big punt out of their punter right now, or the Seahawks once again will have excellent field position.
Jim Arnold, the rookie from Vanderbilt. That's what he has done today. An head of 38. End over end, they're going to run back on this one. That's the 43, Paul John. That's the 40 of Kansas City, 1st down, Seattle. Albert Lewis made the tackle. A return of 17 after a kick of 36.
And Merle, it's just as we said, you need the big punt. It was a low punt with no time running off, no hang time, and that always means good return. Paul John's, of course, number 2 in the NFL on returns. This is an exciting football game with a lot of time left. We're going to be right back with you. Paul Johns, number 85, injured on the play after a tremendous run back, putting the Seahawks in dynamite field position, down, able to get off the field by himself, but that's a terrific asset. Number 2 in punt returns in the league.
And he was limping very heavily as he left. The Raiders, a winner today over the New York Giants. And the Raiders now are 10-3 for the year, leading the West. They win in today's action with a 3-game lead. Warner broke a tackle. Warner for 9 yards after breaking the tackle at the 44-yard line. He was finally brought down by Rockmore, but he broke a tackle by Thomas Howard and picked up 9 yards.
What can you say? Watch the block, Brian. It's one-on-one there. Thomas Howard won that one. But what can you say about number 28? 27 for 177 yards rushing today. Of course, it's a new Seahawks record. He may reach 200 in this ball game today with 5 minutes left.
He has 12 rushing touchdowns for the year. Warner gets the first down at about the 28. Dino Mangiero, the nose tackle, makes the stop. A little extra excitement going on out there.
And Merle, at this point, you cannot allow your emotions to overrule you and get a cheap penalty, especially the Seahawks. They can't allow that to happen right now.
You know, Mike McCormick was with us a little while ago. Mike is a native Kansas City, and we mentioned played at the University of Kansas. What a job he has done here. He brought in Chuck Knox as the coach. There were those of the Seahawks who wanted Mike to stay on as the head coach. He said, no way.
Oh, all the players wanted it. But you start all the way from the top with the Nordstroms, and then with Mike as president and general manager, and then as Chuck Knox. A tremendous organization. And John Makovic has that same asset in Kansas City. He has taken over that organization, and I guarantee you that what we've seen today is going to continue for the Chiefs.
First down on the 29-yard line it will be. Chiefs lead 42-38. Craig to his Tight end Charlie Young at the 20. Jerry Blanton, the linebacker, taking on big Charlie Young and his 234 pounds on a 6'4" frame, 9 yards on the play.
Well, third time today. See, that's what the tight end has to do. They got the linebackers all over him. Third time today, they need the big play. They go to number 87, Charlie Young. He's playing like a kid again. Oh, boy.
Second down, 1.
And Merle, that's what you said. You talk about the veteran players that Chuck Knox brought in. He's one of the key factors.
Craig, 12 out of 21, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Cullen Bryant. Bryant to about the 18. Gary Spaney on the tackle. It'll be a first down for Seattle.
Merle, on that punt return, Paul John sustained a knee problem, a left knee. We expect him to jump right back into the game. And in fact, he is in the game. That's what happens on the emotion of the game. And Merle, I'll tell you something else. The Kansas City Chiefs defense has been on the field just a little too long in the last couple of minutes. As we see on the screen, Paul John's back in the game for the Seahawks.
Number 85 has replaced Byron Walker. At the 18, first down, Seattle on the Kansas City 18, 2:52 left in the game. Warner gets away from Howard, he's out of bounds on the 15. Durwood Rockmore coming up to the free safety spot to get him out of bounds. 29 carries, 183 yards for Warner. What a day.
Merle, only Cribbs and Buffalo Dickerson with the Rams. I must tell you, and Peyton with the Bears could turn something like that play into positive yardage.
1,225 yards for the year. He leads the AFC in rushing. Our thanks to our spotters, Gary Moore, Jim Ott, George Barachek, our statistician, Brad Cummings, and also Frank Manson. 2:41 to go. Second down, 6 on the 14 of Kansas City. Craig, not quite. Cullen Bryant right off his fingertips. Charles Jackson, the linebacker, had him covered. And it is now third down and 6.
Oh, boy. Oh, so close yet so far. A good scramble maneuver by Craig. They're covered right now. Good defense by the Chiefs. Able to get out. Doesn't have those knee operations yet. Watch this. Just off the fingertips. A little long for Cullen Bryant.
Third down, 6 on the 14 of Kansas City. It is Kansas City 42, Seattle 38. Shotgun. Incomplete in the end zone. It looked like Craig might have had a chance to run it for the first down.
A mistake by a young, excited quarterback. He could have gone for the first down. He wouldn't have taken it in for the touchdown, but a mistake. He lost his head for the moment. You got to realize where you are and how far you have to go. Once again, good coverage instantly. They're having a nice rush, flushing out, but Merle, he could have taken it for the first down up and over the head of his wide receiver, Paul John. Oh, tough break there on a young quarterback.
Fourth down, 6 on the 14 of Kansas City.
And Merle, as I've said just a few moments ago, the Chiefs defense playing valiantly, but they've been on the field too long. They're wearing down.
Seattle has just called a timeout. 2 minutes, 27 seconds left in the ball game with a fourth down situation and 6 yards to go. Chuck Knox and Dave Craig and the offensive coordinator, they want to make sure on this play that everybody understands what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely. And you're deciding exactly what play. Do we spread the entire field? And if you spread the entire field with all your receivers, you're opening yourself up to the blitz, and then a sack, and then the game possibly would be over. So what to do right now? Big decision. They're talking to Kenny Meyer, the quarterback coach, up in the coach's booth. And Coach Chuck Knox is there. Zorn is there. They're deciding exactly what to do.
Next Sunday, join host Lynn Berman as NFL 83 kicks off week number 14 with feature reports and a preview of the day's game. Then it's an NFL doubleheader. Beginning at 12:30 Eastern, we'll have an AFC Central matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Other games include Miami at Houston and Buffalo at Kansas City. Plus, at 3:30 p.m., most of you will see the Cleveland Browns against the Denver Broncos, or in some areas, you'll see the New York Jets against the Baltimore Colts. Check your local listings for the games and times in your area.
What do you think, Merle? Do we see a play that specializes the athletic ability of quarterback as they used to do with Jim Zorn all the time? Do you see him wide open the field? What do you think? 6 yards to go for the first.
I really don't think they're going to use a trick play here. I think that they're going to go for something that they have worked on that's solid. We'll see.
We will find out. It's the play of the game right now.
Let's see how the Kansas City defense reacts. 4th down, 6. Touchdown, Seattle to Paul Johns.
Defense that's tired. 4 wide receivers in, a mobile quarterback. Right now, he could have taken it for the touchdown on the run. Throws it 14 yards, touchdown to number 85, Paul Johns. The Seahawks in control of the game with 2:21 left in the game.
It is 44-42 Seattle. With 2 minutes, 21 seconds left, we could be looking at overtime.
And an all-important extra point right now, because if he makes it and the Chiefs get down in field goal position, they would have to tie it. If he misses it, Chiefs could get down, Lowry could win it.
Johnson. Okay. Seattle leads by 3. 2 minutes, 21 seconds left in the game. Norm Johnson has put the Seahawks ahead 45-42. And last night, in our production meeting, we were talking about 80 points being scored in this game today.
Exactly. We thought this would be a tennis match. Back and forth, exactly what it is. We'll take another look at one of the big plays. Now, Craig is healthy. Not like the quarterbacks who've had a lot of knee operations. He can take it right now, Merle, on his own to run it in. Yet he goes to Paul Johns wide open in the corner. As I said, it's just too much to put on a defensive backfield. They're tired. They put 4 wide receivers at tight end and a wing back. Seattle really did what we said. They spread the field out. They used the athletic ability of the young quarterback.
So Seattle is back in front. Craig is 13 out of 24, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But hey, this is a lot of time for Bill Kenny and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely. A lot of time in the game. 2 more scores could be put on the board. Just have to make sure you don't fumble the ball.
Coming up after the game, NFL 83. Johnson. Hancock in the end zone. Touchback. Can you imagine in the 3rd quarter, some of the fans departed. Seattle was down by 2 touchdowns. Can you imagine those people outside the Kingdome trying to get back in?
Well, Merle, I got to say, as an old field goal kicker with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, that's a lifetime. I've seen games sway with no time on the clock, so we do have a lot of time.
And one thing you know about Bill Kenny, he will not lose his cool. Oh, no.
It ain't a long way to go.
Incomplete to Theodis Brown. Out of the backfield, covered by Greg Johnson, the right quarterback. 2nd down, 10 on the Kansas City 20. Over 60,000 today in the Kingdome. Complete sellout.
And the great teams with the good players have to come up with that. Theodis Brown has to come up with that type of pass. They can't continually throw to the wide receivers. The back in the game, such as Kurt Warner, he's caught a lot of passes, has to come up with a big play.
Carlos Carson out of the game right now. Henry Marshall is split wide to the left side. Second down, 10 on the 20. Brown at the 25, third down 5. Kenny Easley, the strong safety, the tackler. So it's 3rd and 5 for the Chiefs. Kenny Easley, the third-year man out of UCLA, and Bob Simmons is limping heavily as he comes off. Bob Simmons had to switch from the right side to the left side. Brad Buddy, as you know, is out for the season. Simmons is playing over there in his spot. This Kansas City offensive line, they've had to make switches all over the place.
And Merle, it's a tribute to the players. They could have rolled over and quit. They've done a marvelous job. Number 64, rookie out of Baylor now, Mark Kirchner into the game for the injured Bob Simmons.
Mark Kirchner, a quality player out of Baylor, a rookie, all Southwest Conference selection. You like scoring in a football game? There's something for everybody.
Exactly.
Every quarter.
Kansas City going to that safe pass over the middle to their running back, Theodis Brown, on that, but he will have to open it up. We are now at 2 minutes and 3 seconds. They've got a long way to go. 75 yards for the touchdown.
Bill Kenny,
or the field goal.
Bill Kenny coming up on the 3,500 mark for the year. He leads the NFL in attempts and completions. He has set Kansas City record for attempts, completions, and yardage.
And would you have ever thought anybody could have passed the great Lenny Dawson, the great pass quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs? And Kenny has done it this year.
San Diego has beaten Denver behind Dan Fouts. It makes all the difference in the world with Fouts back, doesn't it?
Well, it makes a big difference for Seattle that Denver loses.
Third down. Kenny going for Page. Page, trying to keep going, is finally down to the 45-yard line by John Harris. A 29-yard pickup to Stephon Page. Well, we're down to the 2-minute mark, and here comes another one of those fantastic finishes.
Perfect example of the battle at the line of scrimmage, and also exactly what one-on-one coverage means. It's Page against number 27, Greg Johnson. Watch the beautiful catch. Takes it, controls the ball. Nothing fancier, doesn't want to fumble it. Two receptions, 46 yards, and 1 touchdown for Stephon Page today.
So Kansas City a first down on the 45-yard line. Kenny is now 19 out of 35, 266 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And 12 yards away from an effective field goal kick by Nick Lowry that would put us into overtime.
A minute 53 remaining. First down on the Seattle 45. They show blitz. Kenny to Carson. That's the 21, and Carson is shaken up on a 24-yard reception. He is brought down by Easley, and he gets help from Dave Brown. Carson, now 7 catches, 149 yards.
Going to their bread and butter man all day long, Carlos Carson. Perfectly run pattern up and over the safety. Watch what he does as he's going to get hit. He protects that football, and he pays for it too. Carlos limping off the field. But now the ball game is in the Chiefs side of the field. They are already within Nick Lowry's range. They're calling it. Talking to John Makovic on the sideline. You know, we said a little while ago that Craig was on the sideline with Chuck Knox. Okay, right now the same thing's happening on the Chiefs sideline with John Makovic and Kenny and Todd Blackledge. They're all together saying, okay, we're all on the same page, no mistakes, an easy, safe pass, but make sure of one thing, we at least get that field goal try.
So John Makovic hoping that his Kansas City Chiefs can take it on in and grab the lead.
This has been an inspired day of football, both teams coming back and forth from adversity.
At the 21 of Seattle, first down Kansas City. Stephon Page is put wide to the left, Carson to the right, and Hancock in the slot right. Over the head of Carlos Carson. Pretty well covered by Simpson.
Well, it's as I said, though, we said before, if they don't catch it, if it's not a reception, at least it's not an interception. So I call it a safe pass always. Well, we had a good look at Nick Lowry stretching and getting ready on the sideline. This is a point in the game in my career I always love. Hey, put it on my shoulders. And that's how Nick Lowry is. He just loves the pressure.
A minute, 38 seconds. Second down in the 21 of Seattle. Marshall split to the left. Kenny Brown. Theodis Brown. It might have been intercepted and taken away. We're going to have a discussion down there about it.
The official changed his mind twice, Merle. It was intercepted, but the tie always goes to the receiver on that, the offensive play. We'll get a chance to check this one out. The one thing the officials are doing this year is discussing their call. He called it an interception. He changed his mind. He called it a touchdown. What do we have? We'll hear from Red Cashman.
Reverse touchdown.
Whoa, touchdown.
It's a touchdown for Kansas City, and the Chiefs lead 48-45 with a minute 30 seconds remaining in the game.
And what a play by Theodis Brown. Perfectly thrown ball. I've been saying that phrase all day long. Watch it. We're going to decide for ourselves. It's in the end zone. The offensive man has it. He's in the end zone. It's a touchdown. Watch the indecision of the referee. Because defender comes up with the ball. What is it? He doesn't know. Okay.
Greg Johnson, the defender on the play, a 21-yard touchdown pass to Theodis Brown. Kansas City leading 48-45, a 21-yard touchdown reception.
Man, Merle, when both men have possession of the ball, it does go to the offensive player.
Lowry for the extra point try. The way they move this ball, a minute 30 could get Seattle right back down there. But
Absolutely.
Seattle needs a touchdown now. They don't need a touchdown now. The kick was wide. Seattle can try it with a field goal.
Well, we've seen it all. We've seen the greatest kicker of football today miss an extra point. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is only his second career miss ever. Just pulled it. He just shanked it, as they would say. And does that set up an exciting finish if we haven't already had enough excitement? Oh.
Well, we could still be looking at an overtime, but this time with Seattle on the short end and trying to tie it up. But, of course, they would like nothing better than to get 6 or 7.
That play exactly. Now, was this a touchdown or was this an interception? We already know there's indecision on the part of the umpire. Number 27, Greg Johnson in there. He comes down with it, but the offensive player, Theodis Brown, did have the ball for 2 steps. So at that point, the official did not know what to call. It did come out to the offensive player, and I think a right call.
A minute, 30 seconds left. Kansas City back in front, 48-45.
Holy cow.
Lowry. Ball is taken by Dixon. He is dropped on the 16. Lawrence Ricks makes the hit after a 17-yard return. They're going to spot the ball at the 18-yard line. No, they're going to spot the ball back at the 17-yard line.
And with only a minute 26 left in the game, with the Seahawks having the ball and they are behind by 3 points by a field goal, they cannot be conservative. They must get it down for their kicker to attempt the field goal. They've got to do it. They've got to open it up right here.
Now they put the ball back at the 18-yard line. It's kind of academic. They got a long way to go.
Oh, they certainly do.
There's the man that could keep everybody here a little longer tonight.
And I got a feeling he wants it to come down to him.
First down to the 18. A minute 26 left. Craig breaks the tackle. Throws on the run. Completed to Dornick. Dornick still on his feet. Dornick, the bull, off to the 35-yard line, and Rockmore brings him down. A 17-yard pickup and run by Dan Dornick.
Oh, and we've absolutely had everything in the game today with their Craig Rockmore, number 38, down on the field, grabbing his knee. Watch the play. It's an excellent rush by the Chiefs. Craig able to get out of it, as we've said all day long. Bobbles the ball. Watch the play to Dornick. They always go to Dornick when they're in trouble. And then his second and third effort right here. Oh, I love it.
He got away from Glandon. He got away from Spaney. My goodness, Dan Dornick out of Washington State. And with 1:11 left in the ball game, Seattle has the ball at the Seahawks 35-yard line, trailing by 3. So now,
Craig has his choice now if he wants to move the ball upfield. Number 28, Kurt Warner, has caught the ball over 35 times this year. Number 89, Paul Johns, had a big day, and they could go to the old standby, Steve Largent, or one of the unknowns in Seattle for years, a tight end. Would they dare go to a tight end? 3 key times today, Charlie Young.
Rockmore has left the field. Craig is 14 out of 25, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Oh, boy.
First down, Seattle on the Seahawks 35. Kansas City leading by 3. Craig Largent incomplete at the 44. He was covered by Albert Lewis, number 29, the rookie from Grambling. Second down, 10 on the Seattle 35. Paul Johns had run the deep pattern for Seattle.
Good coverage by the Chiefs on that play. Man right now, his stomach is just churning. Coach Chuck Knox, he wants to get that ball downfield. He's saying, hey, guys, come on, let's go an extra quarter. Let's go a few extra minutes, play overtime.
Second down, 10. Walker split to the right. Johns in the slot right. 4 wide receivers in for Seattle. He's going for Johns. Incomplete. The coverage by Charles Jackson, the linebacker. Boy, that's a tough assignment, a linebacker on Johns.
Normally you can't cover him. Good coverage by the Chiefs. A well-thrown football, as we would certainly as we would expect. Seattle fans thinking interference. Take another good look at it. Charlie Jackson, not known for his speed of foot, former teammate of mine, not even looking at the ball. Is it interference? No. Absolutely not. Good coverage. No.
Third down, 10 for the Seahawks. They trail 48-45.
That was good coverage by the Chiefs.
59 seconds left in the ball game. The Seahawks have 30 first downs in the game. The Chiefs have 26. Third and 10 for Craig. Under a rush to Dornick. Dornick gets the first down at the 46. Gary Spaney covering him. That might have been very costly for the Seahawks, though. Reggie McKenzie has limped off the field. They were getting replaced in a hurry. He has been replaced by Dugan at left guard. Ball batted in the air, incomplete. The clock stopped at 27 seconds. Ken Kramer, the 6'4", 252-pound nose tackle, got his hands up there.
Merle, that cost him a few seconds with McKenzie getting hurt, but a tremendously heads-up play by the sidelines of the Seahawks. Bill Dugan coming in to replace him. Didn't have to be told to get in. And once again, we're having so many marvelous individual efforts. Number 91, Ken Kramer, stopping that pass.
27 seconds left. At halftime, Kansas City led 28-14.
Can't say enough about the Chiefs defense. They've been in there so much. They're tired. They're worn down. And yet they're still plugging with a 3-point lead.
That's Norm Johnson you see over there on the sideline. Number 9. It should be his game. Second down. Craig over the middle. He's got his man at the 30. Harold Jackson, the old pro, on the receiving end. 17 seconds left on the clock. A 29-yard pickup to Harold Jackson.
And it proves what we talked about, you go to the old veterans. They had McKenzie and Charlie Young. Puts Harold Jackson. He's been in the game 16 years. It comes down to the last, possibly one of the last plays of the game with 27 seconds on the clock. Watch it. He knows the zones in this game. He's been in it so long, comes in and makes a big, big play. They are now in field goal range. It would be 42 yards, but well into Johnson's range.
The Seahawks have taken their last time out. Kansas City has one remaining. Harold Jackson out of Jackson State.
I feel like the two of us have played a football game up here. This is tremendously exciting football.
It'll be first down for Seattle on the 25-yard line of Kansas City. All the strategy being discussed now.
Well, you've got your coaches upstairs. You've got Chuck Knox, Jim Zorn, Dave Craig, Kurt Warner. They're all on the sideline making sure, as you said a little while ago, hey, we all know exactly what the play is, and if it's not there, we're going to check off to our backup. Boy, Dave Craig, 16 of 30, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception plus. Did he rush for one today? I'm not sure. Dave Craig has had a big, big day. Now, he could have rushed for one and decided not to.
Jim Zorn, number 10 on the sideline. We mentioned earlier in the third quarter when things looked bleak for Craig, he was, you know, he made a couple of bad plays. The crowd was on him. They wanted Zorn. Zorn was warming up on the sideline. And yet when he brought the team back, it was Jim Zorn who came on the field to hold the extra point after a touchdown to really encourage him.
Well said. And if I'm right, there are no more timeouts for the Seahawks.
They've got to go to the sideline. Craig going for all of it. Out of bounds. Intended for Brian Walker. Lucius Smith had the coverage. 12 seconds remaining.
Time for one more play, I would assume. Chuck knows that he'd like to at least squeeze a couple of more yards to make it a little bit easier kick for his field goal kicker. It's tough enough making the big kick with just a couple of seconds, but a big kick with relatively long yardage is even doubly tough.
Dean Prater has come in. Thomas Howard has come in. Second down.
Merle, if it's not a reception, you make sure that it's not an interception.
Walker splits wide to the left. Johns to the right for Seattle. 12 seconds remaining. Seattle trailing by 3. All-out rush. All-out bomb. Almost intercepted in the end zone, but not quite. Intended for Walker, and Lucius Smith almost picked it off. And with 7 seconds left, the outcome of this game right now belongs to Norm Johnson.
Two beautiful plays in a row by Lucius Smith. They felt they had something on him by going to Paul Johns twice. He's right in there, as we just said, almost an interception. Oh, my goodness. And it comes down to the field goal kicker. I've been here, I don't know how many times in 16 years, Merle, but I wouldn't want a kicker on my club if he didn't want to be out on the field making the big kick. We'll find out.
Johnson has a 42-yard field goal. He missed one in the 40-yard range earlier in the ballgame.
And distance really isn't a factor indoors, especially in the Kingdome. This really is a kicker's park and a punter's park. They just have to calm him down. He hooked his first attempt today, walked off the sidelines. Chuck Knox said, hey, all you got to do is settle down. See what they're doing right here? What they're doing right there, Jim Zorn is talking to him. Make sure, because he has a hook on his ball, make sure you just put it down, take a deep breath, right down the middle of the ball. It's easy said. I've been there, and it's easy to talk about up here. I know what's going through his mind.
And watch the ball. Don't look too soon.
Oh, no, don't look good. No, just put it right through.
The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weisman. The coordinating producer of NBC Football is Ted Nathanson. Today's game has been produced by Ron Kershaw, directed by Mark Warner, technical director Art Thurnergy, and associate director Brian Arthenreich, and others who have made this telecast possible today. Our thanks to all of you. Nice going, everybody on the cameras and in the truck. Great pictures. Great ball game.
Well, it comes down to a field goal kicker. The gentleman who usually has the cleanest uniform, we'll see what he's made of here. This is a very difficult situation to be placed in.
Norm Johnson out of UCLA. Zorn's going to spot the ball at the 32-yard line, a 42-yard kick. Johnson had one earlier in the game from 42. 7 seconds to go. Overtime with 2 seconds left. But that's what everybody's thinking. Oh, gee.
So much for this ball club to have their field goal kicker come through in a crunch like that.
Kansas City brings it back all the way. We're into the OT.
Yeah, but what they're talking about right now with Rusty Tillman on the sidelines is he's telling his kickoff man to kick the ball on the ground, let it bounce back, let it bounce, make it one of those crazy kicks so that they can't have a clean return. If he puts it in the air, that he's trying to rely on himself, well, you bounce it on the ground, maybe let one of the big linemen catch the ball because you know they're not going to run all the way.
This crowd,
I think they're not going to run all the way.
This crowd has gone absolutely bonkers today.
They're tired. They're going to walk out of here saying, wow.
Seattle is 0 for 1 in overtime games, losing to Denver in 1978 when Jim Turner kicked a field goal, but he had to have 2 shots at it.
That's right. I was lucky on that. Seattle was offside, and they gave me another shot. We took the victory home back to Denver.
48-48. There's another game in overtime today, tied at 41, Green Bay and Atlanta.
Earl, the Seahawks fans here are certainly enjoying this game, but the ones back in Kansas City have to be awful proud of their guys for fighting back, too.
So Norm Johnson ready to kick it off. Anthony Hancock is deep for Kansas City. Onside. Overtime.
Very smart play by Rusty Tillman and the Seahawks on special teams. Very smart.
So the time has run out and we go to overtime in the Kingdom. We'll have a little 3-minute intermission.
And something to think about. The team that usually wins the toss and accepts the ball usually wins on a field goal in overtime.
John Malkovich and his counterpart, Chuck Knox, have to really feel like they've been to the ringer today.
This is an important call right here.
He called tail. It's head. Your score.
Seattle wins the toss.
Seattle won the toss. Chose to receive. There'll be a 3-minute intermission.
And we'll be back after these messages from your local station. Seeing that we were in overtime at 48, we could say the game is about ready to start because that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start all over.
Well, I don't think it's an important factor, the point that Seahawks have only been in one overtime game. New coaches, new philosophy, new players on the club, and the same goes for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City, by the way, is 2 out of 3 in overtime games. And, you know, while we were away, Jim and I were talking about what a magnificent job that John Malkovich and his staff have done in rebuilding the offensive line. Last week they lost Matt Herkenoff again in the Dallas game. They lost Brad Buddy for the season. Rich Baldinger had to come over and play the left tackle. Bob Simmons had to go from the right side to the left side to play left guard. Tom Condon was activated this morning. He had missed the last 4 games with an ankle injury and missed 7 all year. And then Adam Lingner replacing Bob Rush in the second quarter when Rush went down. He's back, but boy, what a job they've done.
They've done a marvelous job. Important right now, no return. Remember that I'd say that the best special teams on the field is the Seahawks. Lowry's got to get the ball downfield.
Nick Lowry, this is going to be returned by Zachary Dixon from his 6. Dixon to the 48-yard line of Kansas City, a 47-yard return. Stephon Page made the tackle.
Good for Zach Dixon. He was waved by Frank Bush out of the Baltimore Colts. Chuck Knox knew what kind of player he was. A 47-yard return. And does that set him up? Watch. We'll see what Zach does. See what the Chiefs are looking at right now. He follows his blocking. Hughes getting a terrific block. Does make a 47-yard return. But now, as we've said, statistics this year, the team who receives the ball wins in overtime by a field goal. We'll see if it holds true today.
Overtime in Seattle, Seahawks ball. Warner. Chased out of bounds on the 31-yard line. A 16-yard run by Warner.
What can you say? He's carried it almost 30 times. He should be tired, right? He's not. He's stronger.
But that Kansas City defense has got to be exhausted.
We've been talking about it for the last 8 to 10 minutes, Merle. They're already in field goal range, but Kurt Warner has now hit. He's 30 carries for 200 yards. What a day.
The Kansas City defense on the field for much of the fourth quarter. So Warner, 3 touchdowns today. Has hit the 200 mark. He has broken by far the previous record of rushing for one game by Sherman Smith. Warner to the 26. Jerry Blanton, number 57, there on the tackle for Kansas City.
Now, all they're going to do is to make sure they play it right. They know which hash mark that their kicker likes to kick from and which hash mark he doesn't like to kick. They've already got this done in months of football practice. They're going to keep it on the ground, try to move it right up for an apple pie field goal. Here it is, going right up, right straight up the middle, giving it to their bread and butter. Just make sure they don't make a big mistake.
Second down, 5 for Seattle. Warner picking his way inside the 25 to about the 23. Gary Spaney brings him down. Jim, I kind of think, though, that Chuck Knox is going to try to score a touchdown.
I don't think so.
Do you?
No, I really don't. I think that the 2 field goals today by Norm Johnson has given him confidence that he's going to go ahead with the youngster. As a matter of fact, we're going to see it right now. The field goal team is on the field. Third down, so that if there's a dropped ball, they can go ahead and kick on fourth, as long as the kicker does not hit the ball with his foot.
It'll be a 41-yard try. This kind of surprises me at this stage right here.
There it is.
42 yards. Game over. 2 42-yard field goals and a third one by Johnson ends it. So Seattle wins it by 51-48. Norm Johnson, 2 42-yard field goals in just a couple of minutes.
And my hat is off to the Kansas City Chiefs for a valiant effort today.
Now let's go to NFL 83 after these messages from your local stations.